I mean, shouldn't we all get mad about
Yeah,
girls
but
training,
I
guys and
love
girls
that
training
he's
together?
fucking Canadian like that, and he just does not give a fuck.
So welcome to the Irrelevant Podcast, episode 44, where we are talking about how we hate men competing with women and women competing with men.
Well, I don't know that we hate it. We hate the men that want to compete with women so that they can win because they can't beat other dudes.
How?
If chicks want to compete with dudes to get better, that's fine.
I think I lost all hope in humanity when people started the debate of like, yes, men should be able to that have transitioned should be able to compete with women, and I'm like, no, they shouldn't.
Anyone who says that doesn't understand physiology and is a fucking idiot.
Dude, did you see?
Bottom line.
Do you know who Clay Travis is?
Nope.
Sports reporter. He's like a beat writer. He's got a lot of money. He also does like sports gambling and things. He offered the Las Vegas women's team that just won it all. He's
basketball team?
Yeah. He put out a tweet that said, I will take the state champion of any boys team that I could possibly find and pick and put them up against the WNBA champions, and the boys high school basketball team will win. And I'll put
I don't believe that, but yeah.
You don't think so?
I played the varsity girls team in high school, and they were still better than us.
But
not by much, but they were better. You're talking about women who have played at the college level and now the professional level. Will dominate some high school kids.
No. He's talking about a state championship high school basketball team at any level.
Yeah.
Like, so you take but those guys are going to college and playing at the highest level in college.
Professional girls will crush the high school kids just based on experience.
What about that athleticism?
Especially that Las Vegas Aces team. That's like an all-star team of women.
But what about athleticism? Just like
doesn't matter. They're fucking pubescent boys. They haven't even done anything yet.
You're
talking about a sport that doesn't lift and a bunch of dudes who haven't even fucking hit puberty for the most part.
Yeah, but they can
you can take the college championship team.
They'd run them out of the gym.
Them. But the high school one, no.
Yeah, but of those high school boys,
against girls in high school while we were freshmen and they were seniors on varsity, and they would still whoop our ass.
Oh, that never happened to us. What?
We had good girls. I don't know what to tell you. Our school is known for basketball.
Well, I mean, we went to state championship game my freshman year, but I'm just saying, I think that those boys would win. I do. I think they would win.
No, those chicks are ruthless.
Some of those high school basketball players are ready to go to the NBA.
No, they're not. We've seen it time and time again. They're not even close.
What?
They're not.
Some of those 18 and 19-year-old boys?
Dude, they go to college for 1 year and go to the NBA and suck balls for 5 years, and then all of a sudden they're good. It's like, you fucking idiots should just stay in college or go to the G League.
I don't know. He put $1 billion bet on the line. I think they should do it.
I think they should too, but I think those chicks would win.
Oh, I don't know, man.
If you went the other way and you took a bunch of old washed up dudes to play those chicks, the old washed up dudes would crush them like that soccer match.
Oh, I didn't see that. There was a soccer match?
Oh, yeah. It was Wrexham FC. So Ryan, who's the pretty guy from
the pretty guy
that all the chicks like? It's
Ryan Gosling?
No. The funny one. Van Wilder.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. He owns a team with fucking Mac from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Don't they?
It's like a bunch of 40-year-old soccer players, and they played Team USA.
Whooped them,
and they won 13-1. They fucking crushed them.
Equal pay, though. Equal pay.
Those girls were talking so much shit before the match.
Equal pay.
And those they actually make more.
I know because of that whole crap.
Percentage-wise, they make way more than the dudes do. They just don't make more money because nobody watches women's soccer.
Correct. It's all about the revenue streams, people. Quit getting mad about women not pulling these $1 million salaries.
Well, maybe the chicks should market their hotness more and they'd have plenty of people watching.
Well, the WNBA only exists because the NBA funnels money into it. That's it.
Maybe, but I'm just telling you that Angel girl that plays on the fucking Aces and like all those shit, those are all like the starting 5 for the Aces are like 5 of the best women who have ever played basketball. I don't think they're losing to high school kids.
I don't know, man.
I'm telling you, I played in high school. The fucking high school kids are idiots.
Some of those freaking prep schools, man, that get these 5-star athletes. I don't know. I think it'd be tough. I think it'd be closer than you think.
Dude, I've seen 3 players in my lifetime make it from high school to a professional level and be worth it. Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. That's it. Everyone else has been fucking terrible.
What about some of the one and dones, though?
They still suck. Name one that's awesome.
One and dones? Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony.
I don't think Kevin Durant was a one and done.
Yes, he was. Played 1 year at Texas.
Texas?
Yep.
Okay, so that's one. Melo is
What? He's a Hall of Famer.
I wouldn't.
He's a Hall of Famer. Oh God,
I wouldn't put him there.
Get Khalil on the phone right now. Get him in here.
Look, he's one of the best scorers ever, but I wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, Let's see who
Played
else.
for 95 fucking teams, dude. Why would like what did?
Hey Google, give me a list of NBA players that were 1-year college players. I'm kind of curious. I don't really like
That
know.
kid in Minnesota is pretty good, but like he's still getting better. So Anthony Edwards,
Oh,
like
well, Anthony Davis was a one and done.
sucks.
He doesn't
Guy's
suck.
overrated.
He's overrated.
He's
but he
the
doesn't
most
suck.
fragile fucking player in the league, dude. He sucks.
John Wall was
You're only
a
as
one and
good as you
done.
can fucking stay. Also was awesome for a minute and not good anymore. The one
Yeah,
and done thing fucked them all.
Anthony
kids should've
Davis,
just-
Kevin Durant,
Now with the NIL deal,
Kyrie
you should
Irving.
just stay in college and get better. Yeah, could have been better.
dude. These are superstars though. Come on, Derrick Rose.
Yeah, but I'm comparing them to Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, and LeBron James.
well, but
Three of the greatest fucking players ever.
to say they don't have success though. That's different. Like Andrew
The
Wiggins,
majority of them suck balls. Andrew Wiggins is a bench player.
Joel Embiid,
I'm not sold on him.
Kevin Love, Karl Anthony Towns. That's who you were talking about, I think. Chris Bosh.
No, I was talking about Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is way better than Cat.
I would agree with that. Kevin Durant, though, yeah, I didn't think Kevin Durant would be what he's been, but he's been pretty unreal.
He's even kind of fucking lame for as good as he should be.
Oh yeah, I think he's a complete he's like a Kurt Tails kind of guy. Obviously, his whole legacy will be.
Yeah, he's not good enough to do it on his own.
He could have been if he would have just stayed in Oklahoma City.
No, he couldn't have because he had James Harden and Westbrook. That's why he couldn't have been.
Well, but they were one game away from going to the finals and freaking got reverse swept.
Still probably wouldn't have fucking won the finals.
No, because they were playing against LeBron's teams that year. So did LeBron win it that year?
Just saying, man.
think they did.
Most of those kids would benefit to stay in college and actually grow into
develop.
being a man.
Yeah.
And fucking then go play.
What do you think about? Have you seen all the Zion Williams business that's been going on?
I don't know what happened this time. There's another one, dude. That guy's a fucking freak. And then
Yeah.
like
Well, 'cause he
still
won't-
5 years later, and now he's playing.
Well, yeah, because
What are we doing?
he won't stop eating.
Well, I get it.
He will not stop eating.
I can believe that.
Apparently, they have said that they are done trying to convince him to eat or stop eating.
Marcus Russell all over again, dude. Fucking idiot.
Yeah, probably not wrong.
No, it's the biggest could have been, should have been, would have been, but didn't.
That's fair.
This is why people have to generate good fucking habits before they ever get to be awesome.
I had to change our
'Cause
view.
Here's
Sorry.
a perfect example. Dumbass Zion Williamson gets paid all this money, gets treated like an all-star or a fucking superstar, and he doesn't have the habits to be that, so now he sucks.
Yeah. Never had to prove anything either. So, yeah, he's up to like almost 300 pounds, I saw. That's crazy. Like, that dude's tumbling around out like a worse version of Shaq out there. Or do you remember Glenn Davis?
Yeah.
The mini Shaq, big baby. God dang. He was hilarious. He was fun to watch. What are some other sports that women cannot compete with men in?
On a physiological level, anything that involves the upper body, they're going to have half as much muscle mass. So that's
Right.
going to be a huge disadvantage.
My women clients are always like, gosh, man, my upper body compared to my lower is so much weaker. And I remember reading in the Thomas Kurzberg what it was like. Women have 75% less capacity than men. Oh, it was 75 in this book is what it said.
Oh, it's a 2-to-1 thing. We have twice as much cross-sectional musculature in our upper body.
Yeah. And then like lower body.
So the bigger cross-section, they're the same. They're no different.
Oh, I thought lower body was like 30% or something like that.
No, literally physiologically, literally just the upper body and then testosterone levels.
Yeah. I thought
Because I'm sorry, Nathan, you're not going to be ever stronger than Hunter Henderson.
no.
He'll fucking crush you every time.
Yeah, no, not happening.
So, like, we're not that different, but upper body wise, if you have half as much cross sections of muscles to latch onto each other, you're just not going to make that up ever.
Doesn't
And our
work.
bone density is greater. The way our body is shaped is to be more athletic than
Mhm.
theirs.
Even our
Like having
what about
wide
connective
hips
tissue,
does
right?
not help you with fucking. I don't think the connective tissue is any
I
different.
thought it had more.
The training thing.
I guess that would be a training thing. Guess that'd be like what is it?
Physiologically different, though, is like literally the musculature
Mhm,
is less,
mhm.
and
But
their
people
bone
don't
shape is
understand
different
that.
in certain areas. Like their hips are shaped differently.
They don't
It's
understand.
going to
that.
be harder for them to be as agile, I believe, with the wider hips.
God, I love those interviews that people do for random people on the street. You think that women should be able to compete with men? No,
I get equality. That's fine. And
it's not equal
if you're
though.
on the playground, go ahead. But when there's millions of dollars at risk, or you're talking about, like, do you see the video of the guy who's a chick who was playing field hockey in New Jersey and broke that fucking girl's face with the ball?
No.
Yeah, he hit it so fucking hard, the goalie's face is basically broken.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, that seems fair.
Or like tennis when Serena played that guy that was like 290th in the world, or was on the men's circuit, and beat the
They've
hell out
asked
of
her
her.
before, like, about Andy Roddick. She's
She's
like, he would crush me.
She's like, I don't want to face that.
It's completely different.
I don't know how people return tennis ball serves, by the way. Those things are freaking moving.
Practice.
God. I'm just going to stand here and let this little...
Same way you hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
No, but these are moving
practice.
like 140.
Yeah, but it's also a bigger thing. And, just practice. It's just timing.
God. I can't imagine standing there, never seeing that before in your life. Like someone,
of course, that's not going to work.
I know, but like someone's like, hey, I'll pay you X amount of dollars to stand here and let Andy Roddick just serve tennis balls at you for 30 minutes.
I would try it.
How much would it take? Not very much.
I would try it for free just to see. I just want to see if I could hit one.
There's a guy on YouTube that does like Eric Sim, King of Juco. God, you gotta follow more content creators, buddy. They'll show you how to make good content.
I don't need to know how to make good content. I can make it if I want to. You know how fucking long it takes, though? I don't have time for that shit.
He's a baseball content creator, and they brought these tennis players in to like serve balls off the mound while they were standing in at the plate. Going like 120, 130. Oh my God, it's hilarious. They're like, no way.
I mean, over speed, right? You get used to those fucking 120-mile-an-hour fastballs. 100 miles feels like nothing.
That's a lot of the training philosophy in baseball. That's why these high, velocity pitching machines exist now, is because you got to practice like you're going to see.
They made machines to do it. That makes sense.
Yeah, like I have one in my gym that'll throw at 100, any pitch, any speed you want to throw. So,
have you tried to hit 100?
I have. It's fun.
Did you hit it?
I ticked it.
Ticked it.
Yeah, I ticked it. You ever seen Benchwarmers?
No, I don't watch baseball movies. I don't like fucking baseball at all.
But it's the guy.
Baseball is the dumbest fucking shit in the world.
It's David Spade. It's David Spade.
I know what it is. I just never watched it.
You should watch it. It's funny.
I don't care about Little League.
It's not about baseball. It's about the comedy of these nerds beating these dudes that are, anyway. But yeah, there's a part.
Every nerd's dream that they're going to somehow beat the athlete.
Well, they don't beat him in the end. Spoiler alert.
Who would have thought?
It's actually really funny because it's like, oh yeah, this would actually really happen, and they just get their ass kicked.
What was the other one? Bad News Bears? That's the one with the kids,
Oh,
right?
that's hilarious. Burt Reynolds, dude. Or Billy Bob Thornton. Oh my God. You have to. That's hilarious.
Don't care.
He's out there chugging beers on the mound and just chucking pitches at him.
The only baseball movie I might ever watch again is Major League.
Solid one. Pretty good one.
God damn it, Vaughn. Manager gets so mad.
We wear sleeves in this league, son.
What the fuck what's the African dude's name who fucking
Pedro Serrano.
Yeah, he's got the fucking he's like got the whole like ritual thing. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, Mabos. You saying Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball, son? Oh God.
Now, golf movies, you got things like Caddyshack, which is great.
Great. Tin Cup, hilarious.
Dalai Lama. No.
Never seen Tin Cup?
Yeah, when I was younger.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore's a good one.
Bagger Vance is a good one.
I think I killed the Mista lady.
Oh, God. You know that Mista lady? I think I just killed her.
Fucking Ben Stiller's such a dick in that
movie. You
movie.
hit that guy. He shouldn't have been standing there. 400 fucking yards away.
Hey, Chubbs, you remember that gator that got your hand? I got his head.
Also, I'm going to win it for Chubbs. I'm going to win it for Chubbs. I said it first. No one cares.
I eat pieces of shit for you, like for breakfast. Gross. You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
Oh, God. Dude, that movie is timeless. Adam Sandler's 90s movies are timeless.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Like, really, really good. Happy.
I haven't seen any of his Netflix ones, so I don't know if they're...
Yeah, they're just not it. He's also the voice of a lizard now. New movie that came out. Animated movie.
I did try to watch that, and
Leo?
It was actually kind of funny. I fell asleep.
I had some people watch it. They said the same thing. They're like, it's kind of funny, but they fell asleep.
I mean, yeah.
Yo, what's good, Brandon? Tis not Brandon.
Who's Brandon?
I don't know. Someone in the chat.
Brandon? Somebody's watching.
Alex says, "Who the hell is Brandon?"
Fuck, is that somebody on the Twitch chat?
Yeah. Who is Brandon?
Jesus, some dedicated viewers we have.
Dude, every time we've had chats, the last 4 Twitch
Really,
streams
what'd they
we've
say
had.
last time? You didn't chime in with any.
They're just saying hello and things like that. No questions, unfortunately.
Hello. Maybe because we got to respond.
Brandon, who are you? You said you're me, but who is me? Who's Brandon? Where are you from, Brandon? Probably some 12-year-old kid that's got nothing better to do but just troll the Twitch world.
Yeah, what kind of information should we drop on him? Do we want to go about how Christmas is about mushrooms? Or
oh God, you had the group chat so scattered on that one. They didn't even respond. They were so scattered on that one. Yeah, not hi, Alex.
Anyone
just so everyone knows,
to the group chat or watches or is part of the group chat, I troll you guys on purpose because it's really fun.
Dude, they were so discombobulated. Hi, when Alex is not high, his brain is not on a leash. So if it's not on a leash, you're just going to go down rabbit holes you probably don't know exist.
The funny thing is all of them are like, I'm not high enough for this. And I go, the funny part is
I'm not. Brandon is from his house, by the way. He's not divulging.
Nice, Brandon. How's your house today?
Hey, how big is your house, Brandon?
Who gives a fuck?
You never know. He could be rich. Brandon, are you rich, Brandon?
Money, then.
Alex needs money. Brandon, are you in Boulder? If you're in Boulder.
No, I hope not.
It's like one house big. Oh my God. This kid is definitely 12 years old. He's trolling.
I mean, I don't blame him. I troll people all the time.
Yeah.
It's fun.
He's 19. Oh, I'm sorry, Brandon. You're just speaking in code. I'm confused. Well, welcome to the Irrelevant Podcast.
How the fuck did you find this, Brandon?
Yeah, Brandon, what are you doing? Brandon, what are you doing finding
We're
us?
only on here because we thought we had a guest, and I think the guest forgot about us.
We are at the bottom of the cellar of the Twitch. I guess the health and fitness only has 252 viewers total right now in that category. So,
I mean,
he can be your guest.
More? Who the fuck wants to watch
Brandon,
health and fitness?
Brandon's
the fill-in guest.
Brandon said he's like, I can be your guest. Brandon, we'll send you the Zoom link. No, I'm just kidding. Don't you have to be 21 to use Zoom? No. 18? What? You have to be 18 to use Zoom?
I don't think so. How would they use it for kids when they were in COVID if you had to be 18?
I think their parents had to sign them up for it. I think. No, I don't really remember. Brandon, you can be our guest through chat. Welcome.
Yeah, so that should be our new thing, right? We'll have guests via Twitch chat.
No, you don't have to be any age. Okay. Well, don't you have to be 18 to be on Twitch? That is a fact, I think.
I doubt it.
No, I think it's...
How do they verify any of this, dude? It's a fucking computer. You just enter whatever age you want.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm 39. I was
like the porn sites back in the day. It's like, verify your age. And it's like, come on. Like, you don't think I could do some fucking math?
What if they just search your IP address and they're like, that's how they find those sons of bitches.
Oh, I'm sure. That's how Facebook permanently banned me. Create a new email address every time. Sorry, you've been banned. Sorry, you've been banned. Sorry, you've been banned. Motherfucker. Like, literally, as soon as I got in.
Brandon, what have you been doing as your 19-year-old self? What's your career aspirations, goals, life? You're just gonna You're just gonna scroll through Twitch streams all day? Probably scared him off, Alex. We scared him.
Shouldn't make fun of people, I guess.
Oh, we were making fun of him. Were we making fun of him?
I mean, a little bit.
Oh, well, we said he was 12. My bad. He's a pro gamer? No way. What do you stream?
That's pretty dope.
You got a stream? What games do you play? Alex is into Age of Empires 3. That's his jam.
2.
My bad. Excuse me. 2. Don't want to get
carried away.
Don't get it twisted. That thing you just play Valorant? Oh, okay. I never really got into Valorant. I did play League of Legends a lot. Same company.
What is Valorant? And what does it take to be a pro gamer? Does you just sign up for something and say you're a pro? Is that like every other non-major sport? I
mean, yeah, they have like minor circuit leagues, amateur leagues, things like that. So
you ever listen to Tony Hawk's documentary? He's like, yeah, I thought turning pro for skateboarding would be this big deal, and all I did was check a different box when I registered for the event.
Yeah, I saw that. Did you ever hear how he got paid for this first, the pro skater things or the pro skater games? They just walked in and handed him like a $5 million check and said, okay, see you next year. And they gave him another $5 million check the next year. It was crazy. Self-entitled.
Well, before video games were a big thing.
Oh, he's self-entitled pro. So he thinks he's a pro. He's just not actually a pro. Valorant. Do you remember the game CSGO? You ever remember that game?
Counter-Strike?
Yeah.
I remember Counter-Strike.
Valorant.
Before it was called CS anything, it was called just Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
That was the LAN game for fucking LAN games.
Yep. So they redid it.
Middle school, we would go pay at a cafe and play per hour.
Yep, it's fun. And then so Valorant is another company's version of that game, essentially.
Nice. So it's a first-person shooter.
Yeah, and it's really fucking hard.
Anybody ever want to have a great time laughing at someone? Let me get really high and play Call of Duty with you. It's fucking.
Are you not a first-person shooter type?
I am fucking terrible, bro.
Really?
I used to play with my buddies all the time, and I would get like a little bit better, and I'd go on Battlefield.
Love that
Battlefield,
game.
I can fuck some shit up on. I went,
God.
I think 30-2 one time on that, and that was a good day.
Battlefield 3? Did you play Battlefield 3?
Yeah, I think it was. No, it was Battlefield 2. I don't think I played 3.
3 was great. My brother and I.
But the fact that you can blow everything up, that game is way harder not to get killed in because someone hides behind a wall. You go, all right, I'm just gonna blow the fucking wall up. Thanks.
Brandon agrees with you. Bad Company 2 was a W. Big win.
Yeah.
He agrees.
That was a good game. GTA 6, though, that's when my life is going to disappear. I have to have all my debt paid
This
off by the
man,
time I get that.
The trailer drops on this game, and this man instantly sends it to me like, I'll see you never. I'm going to play this. Yeah. Alex will no longer be a strength coach when that game
When
comes
I was
out.
21 and GTA 5 came out, all I did was look up shit at work about GTA 5. I would go out to the bar and think I was going to try to get laid and just think about GTA 5 and go home and play.
You sound like me in my early 20s. It was literally
my whole life. And that's when I realized I was an addict. I was like, wow, this is bad. Like, I'm researching what to do in this game while I'm at work for 40 hours a week. And then I'm playing every waking moment I can when I'm not at work.
He said, should I do that? No, Brandon. No, you should not. Do not. It's a trap.
If you want to be a professional gamer, probably.
Yeah. Probably have to play a significant amount. But that's how I was with COD Modern Warfare 3. I almost failed my first semester of college because of that stupid game.
GTA 6. That shit looks so dope. And it's in Vice City. Like, let's go. Talk about bringing back good memories.
Are they actually calling it Vice City? Or is it?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Get to play
didn't watch the goddamn trailer, did you?
I did, but there was so much going on. I didn't.
Fucking gators and the fucking trashy people.
The lady dancing on the top of that car.
Awesome. Yeah, all of it's going to be so good.
And then the main character is just some big hot chick. I was like, what the heck?
I wish you could pick your character. That's the one thing I have a complaint about that Saints Row did better than GTA.
Just make your own.
Saints Row would let you pick your own character. Yeah.
Play it into the story, however you play it.
Yeah. Like, give us some couple storylines and fucking.
Did you not play Red?
You know everyone's going to play online. What?
Did you not play Red Dead?
Are you kidding me?
Okay, it's like the Western version of GTA.
Also almost brought back the same problem as GTA. I got all the hunting trophies, all the fishing trophies. I beat the whole fucking thing. Got my homestead with fucking Marston, whatever the fuck his name is.
That's awesome. Brandon would like to know, what is your max bench press? Because that's the question that everyone always asks someone when they walk into the gym. What can you bench? So yes, Alex, Brandon would like to know.
315.
That's in a competition or not?
No, that's just touch and go in the gym. 300 in comp.
315 touch and go. I don't know what mine is right now. Don't ask. I have no clue. Couldn't tell.
Bench press is the gayest one, though.
It's the hardest one.
It's the most technical, for sure.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Alex he's a strong lad.
Not really.
Working on it, though. Brandon said, sheesh. Sheesh, man. You strong.
Thanks, but I'll let you know when I feel like I've achieved a level of strength that's worth talking about.
Brandon, so this guy right here, if you would like to get your weight up on the bench press, because you said that the bar is usually the heaviest he can go is the bar. So this guy
Damn, Brandon, we need to get you in the gym.
Yeah, this guy has a free training app, Algol Performance Training app. And you could literally go in there and do free workouts made by this guy right here and get really strong. And one day, if you keep working and dedicate yourself to it,
I mean, I started at your age, Brandon, once upon a time.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time and effort.
I was 20, but same diff.
We could get you to that 315.
Man, I really dropped the ball on not confirming this guest.
How sick would that be, though, if a Twitch streamer like DM'd you and was like, I've been using your program?
That'd be fucking cool.
That'd be cool, man. Like, you're reaching a different audience. You just don't realize, but...
Yeah, well, that's what this podcast is for. It's supposed to reach somebody.
What's it called? It's called the Algol Performance. Here, I'll type it in the chat. Hey, tell me how to spell it, Alex, because I always mess it up.
AL space GHUL, like Ra's al Ghul Performance.
And then training app. I'm just gonna put that.
You don't have to put that. It's just put it.
It's a big. See if you look at the logo at the top of our stream right here, this Algol Performance.
Gold tiger.
Also, if you scroll down on the Twitch, there are links to his website that you can go and click on, and you can find his training app on the link. So just scroll down below on the Twitch stream there, and you'll find our panels, and you can click on.
Get some new shirts tomorrow, Nathan. Hopefully, they're good quality.
Oh yeah, Yeah, the new merch coming in, huh?
Printify. Dude, I made some really sick fucking comp shirts for powerlifting. And of course, all the fucking sizes are out of stock at the moment.
Rip. Goodbye.
They're going to be dope. Those
For
will be cool.
for you to wear just to the meets?
Well, I have a powerlifter, but yes.
Oh, okay. That's why I was kind of curious if it was like your brand and your logo on your people, or if it was just like, hey, I'm going to look dope as hell when I go to my powerlifting meet.
Well, that too. But yeah, I made some for the CU kids as well. So it's got the CU logo on the front and the logos on the arms and back.
Where are we at on that? What's the update on the Colorado team? Because it's not really a powerlifting team anymore.
Well, it's still mostly powerlifters, though.
That's fair. Can you
what do you mean? What is the update?
How's it going? How are the kids? How's your role as coach?
I got one kid I'm helping so far.
One kid you're helping?
Just like, yeah, it's the girl I was training today. She'd be strong as fuck.
I was about to
get her to eat.
But you're supposed to be the coach of all these kids. What's happening?
So I am the coach that is at the gym when they come and use the gym, but they have to pay for coaching services. And you just got done telling me how a kid wouldn't pay $30 a month for a gym membership. So $25 a month for coaching. What do you think that's going to come out like? Same thing, right?
That's fair.
So I got one person that wants my, services, but the rest of them, they don't even know what's going on.
They have it all figured out.
They just don't know what they don't know. That's all.
That's a good way to put it. You don't know. You don't know if you
don't know what you don't know.
You don't know.
Like this girl even did equipped lifting in high school, and I thought she would be, pretty well versed in what's going on. And the other day is the first time she'd ever did rack pulls. So
it's like a go-to.
Block pulls before, but no rack pulls. Rack pulls just fucking destroy people. She's like, I'm so sore. Like even today, she's like, I'm still sore.
Oh, they suck. I hate them.
Well, you're not eating partially is the issue. But
yeah, they suck.
You did rack pull 275 for 5 though.
Pretty solid. That was her main work.
That was after 4x4 at 315 on sumo.
Whoa.
She's gonna be strong as shit.
So why are you programming her like that? Are those just like back down sets, or what are you trying to do? Fatigue fiber? What are you trying to do?
What do you do? So you do the main work, which is her normal sumo lift.
Is this like fifth set protocol? Tension,
and then her accessory for her supplemental exercise is similar to that fifth set protocol, but
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was one thing I was going to ask Swede today about fifth set versus secondary versus like, what do you call it? Why,
What are you talking about? The secondary movements in his are MSMs.
Right. But I guess he just called them that.
Because they're mechanically similar movements. Not everyone understands that your supplemental should be close to what you're doing.
For the sake of his methodology and to make it all more streamed, I guess. Because it's just a secondary lift, right?
I mean, it's an auxiliary lift or a supplemental lift. Everyone calls it something different. So he just coined his own term, and his have to be similar to what you're doing.
Right.
So like my rack pull for the sumo is not really an MSM. Kind of is, but not really.
No, not really. You'd be better off doing like a high block pull. You could do a sumo rack pull.
Yeah, I have her do conventional. I like using both stances.
Why
like the whole well-rounded idea.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. You answered. If you haven't realized, it's good to train tissue that you don't think that you should train. Like all you.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody always wants to be like posterior chain, posterior chain, posterior chain. Well, if you just keep
if they're
trading
athletes and they don't do powerlifting, then I agree.
Right. But if you are not and you're a powerlifter, you probably need to throw some quad work in there. And some.
You know what powerlifters don't fucking need to do is SBD. That's what they don't fucking need to do. That is the biggest misconception out of all these idiots is that, and I will agree, you do have to practice squat, bench, and deadlift because you do need to practice your sport. But if I'm a football player, I'm not fucking getting in a car accident 5 days out of the week. Saving 1 day of that, and the other days are helping me so that I can recover from that car accident.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, strength sports should be looked at in the same light, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Strongman also fucking stupid. Let's do all of our events on Saturday, guys. Like, what? Let's do the heaviest, most strenuous things
at the end of the week. At the end of the week.
What the fuck are we doing? Like, why? Why are we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas my protocols, they get to practice them all the time up until competition. So they get way more practice at the events. And the stress is spaced out far enough to where they don't seem to acquire injuries. So much so that I don't think I can program strongmen to not have, I don't think they can have less than 2 days off in between.
Less than 2 days off? So you're giving them 2 days off in between. at the minimum.
Every time. Yeah. They get hurt otherwise.
Right. It's just too much volume for.
Yes, yeah.
You're talking about people that because they won't back it off with their sport. That's what you're saying. It's like training
I'm talking
and
about
their sport.
both of my strongmen, I've tried to use the regular 9-day fist set protocol. They get hurt.
Gotcha.
Every time.
That's because of the accumulation of fatigue and stress and volume from the sport work that they won't stop doing.
2 days off in between. Well, they're only doing one event each workout, though. They're not doing it like the normal strongman. Like I literally took the fifth set thing and adapted it to strongman. So you have 5 days that you do instead of 4.
Mm-hmm.
And each of those days is around an event.
Right.
So the main work is the event.
So that's their skill work.
I'll do that at I've been using brief maximal tension for some of it, which seems to work really well. And then their MSM is something that I think is a good supplemental movement. So like if it's stones, it might be a Zercher squat.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's similar. Then they do their accessory work. But anytime I have them go like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, get hurt.
Right. Is their accessory work pretty light? Like you're just doing a lot of metabolic work for them?
All accessory work for me is like that for the most part.
Yeah.
Unless they're closer to off season, then we'll do some metabolic hypertrophy, but
doesn't really get out of that metabolic work.
Not too often, no.
Yeah.
I mean, the body wants to be efficient, so it wants to metabolically get better, and it wants to neurologically get better. So those adaptations are easy to come by. Hypertrophy, it doesn't want to do it all. Got to coax it into that.
No, you got to slam it into that.
If you're really crushing it, you can gain 21 grams of tissue a day.
That's a lot.
Not.
I said that to someone the other day, and they're like, "That's it," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's it."
That's if you're on drugs and crushing it.
Most people aren't crushing it on the food.
Like
part.
Newbie gains in a year, you could maybe get 10 pounds that first year. Second year is automatic 5, and then after that, you'll be lucky to continue at 5.
That's what I had a baseball player ask me. He was like, "Hey, what do I need to eat to gain 15 pounds?" And I'm like, "Well,
everything you fucking see.
Here's your macros. Good luck." And I sent it to him, and he was like, "Oh God." I was like, "Yeah, have fun." And you have to do the training to match that. So also good luck.
I'm so behind on meals today. I forgot to buy granola yesterday, so I didn't get my yogurt in this morning. I forgot to get it on my way home.
I've had chicken 3 times today already. Chicken rice.
I just had some chicken stir fry.
I had it like 10 o'clock.
Calories.
And I had it. Oh no, I just twice, but I'm gonna eat it again. I had it.
All right, I'm making it up with sushi tonight. We're going fucking balls deep in the rolls.
All the raw fish and rice you can eat.
It's gonna be so good.
Wrapped up into a kelp seed, terrible garbage.
No, it's a sushi. It's a regular roll. It's not I don't. Well, no, I don't do the seaweed rolls are like the old school, like traditional roll. I don't do that.
I don't do
Probably get a little sashimi or nigiri if I want to.
Yeah, that's not
with the rice.
Yeah, it's not too bad. That's doable for me. I just don't do the sushi thing. It's not my style.
Sashimi and nigiri is like actual sushi, bro. What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying I don't do any. Like I can't do any of it.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's just not it. It's not the move.
Did you be any whiter?
I still like. No, that's some white girl stuff to be eating sushi.
It's not at all.
Yes, it is. That
I
pumpkin
love
spice lattes.
It's so fucking good. Like Chinese food, fucking Thai food, Japanese food, like, all of it's so good. Dude, Chinese food we have here is not real Chinese food.
Ours is probably not either. It's just
anything that's sweet is not real.
Just some gross misconstrued perception of
the
what
American
it is.
version, like Tex-Mex.
But it's great. I love it.
The girl I was training today, she lived in Mexico for 10 years, and she's like, "Yeah, they don't eat burritos down there." I'm like, "What? How do they not eat burritos?"
Tamales.
Yeah, well, it's corn tortillas, right? So they probably don't have as big a tortillas to make burritos.
I like tamales. Tamales are pretty good.
They're okay. I always feel like I'm let down.
I don't think they're filling, but they taste good.
They're okay. They're kind of bland. At least the ones I've had. Yeah, they're all right.
It's all about the sauce.
Oh, see, I don't get them with sauce. That's where maybe I'm missing out.
Throw the Tabasco.
Like enchilada sauce or just Tabasco?
Just throw the Tabasco on there, which I don't love, but they do make the tamale good. Yeah, it's not my favorite.
We have this thing called green chili in Colorado, so that's what we put on everything. Do it right.
I don't do the spicy very often. It's not my thing. I had
this conversation. Spicy green chili. You can have just plain green chili. It doesn't have to be spicy.
Chipotle. They only have green chili there. No, they don't have it there.
Literally, New Mexico and Colorado are the only two places, and we constantly argue about whose is better.
Ah, so it's a border war. Got it.
Kinda.
Mhm.
2 different types of chilies, though.
Really? Well, how are they different?
Well, because we are higher altitude, so they grow differently.
Can you
We
taste the
have Pueblo
difference?
chilies. Yeah, you can. Between Pueblo chilies and Hatch chilies, most certainly, yes.
I couldn't probably, but
Oh, I bet you could.
blind taste test? You think I could tell you whose is whose?
Yeah, I think you could tell it.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just, nope.
So good on breakfast burritos. Just smothered breakfast burritos and green chili. Or,
Sounds-
some of them on the go have some green chili in them. Either way.
Sounds decent.
Fucking so good.
Why can't people just get behind making a nice breakfast burrito? Like just do a chicken and rice breakfast version. You know what I mean? Chicken and rice.
You know
and
how
eggs.
hard it is to roll burritos?
Not that
Motherfucker.
hard. What?
If the tortillas are not good, yeah, it's basically a death sentence.
Load that.
Good luck.
Load that
Get some
puppy up.
crusty mission tortillas. They just fucking break apart.
Yeah, there we go. Double wrap
You know
it.
what you need? You got to get the Guerrero tortillas. Those
Never
things
heard
are
of 'em.
fire. I bet they have. Do you have a Kroger?
Yeah, we can find them.
Go to Kroger and get the Guerrero tortillas, dude. They are fucking so good.
Why are they good? What makes?
I have no fucking idea. They're just always soft and delicious. Like their flour tortillas are second to none.
Interesting.
Like it's fucking fire.
Hmm.
Fire.
No,
Yeah, I'm over here just crushing 3,600 calories a day on average. That's pretty cool.
just for minimal growth and torture.
For maybe 3 pounds of muscle in 9 weeks. Maybe.
That's so unsatisfying. You're just like, God, really?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of unsatisfying, I suppose. It is, yeah. And I need to really remember to check on the guests from now on. This is the second time I've done this.
It happens, but I mean,
I know, but the day before, I just like, hey, you still good for podcast tomorrow? And we'll get them on here next month, I'm sure. But like,
if you make a commitment, you make a commitment.
No, I get it. I'd forget if I was found out 6 weeks ago too.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess this is just regularly scheduled program for us. So we're like, yeah, podcast at 1:30 every Wednesday.
Yeah, we look forward to it. That's a different thing.
Yeah, it's like, hey,
Probably the coolest thing I've done this year is this thing.
44 episodes.
44D. We almost did a year's worth of episodes in like 3/4 of a year.
6 months, give or take. When did the first episode?
No, we started in April.
Let's look. Yeah, I think we did. Let's look at
April
Spotify.
20th.
Hey, Anthony's
Almost.
episode is up over 100 views. Our first one over 100 views on Spotify or listens. Or
On
whatever you wanna call it.
Spotify. Do those count the Apple listens too as the same thing, or are they separated?
I think it does, but I don't know. Have to Google it.
But yeah, no, the powerlifting clubs, it's pretty cool. I try to help them. It's just, they don't trust me yet, so they don't want to.
I'm not doing nothing. Holy, Aram's got 105. Timeout. Here
Nice.
we go. Wow, that's on the
Isn't
first.
it Aram? Don't you say it Aram?
Aram? I don't know. Aram? There's a game mode in the league the game that I play. It's called Aram. So when I see his name,
Nice.
I just think Aram.
Nice.
Yeah, Anthony's is at 106 and his is at 105 now.
Passed all the chicks, huh?
Just flew
On
right
YouTube,
by him.
The chicks are still the top of the heap for me.
Man, dude.
Goes Tiana, Val, and then Bird.
We got a
Does
lot
the
of
Bird man fly in any weather?
Yeah, dude. Holy cow. They got 45 plays on December 9th. We got 45 plays in one day on December 9th. That was cool.
I just realized Bird needs that as his theme song. Like, what happened to that boy? Like, making fucking freaks out there in Pennsylvania.
That'd be a good one. Dude, the number of distinct devices that streamed any episode for at least 60 seconds or downloaded an episode in the last 7 days, 134.
I hate the 60-second thing. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, I barely paid attention to you. Like, who are the people that watch all of it? That's really what I want to know.
I could probably find it, but I'm just not going to do it.
Me? Because I can make a clip. God damn it.
All right.
Nothing worse than when I know a good clip happens in the middle and I have no idea how far in the episode it was. So I have to sit there and like skim and listen to all of it to find it.
Our viewership in Canada went up 3% because of the Kristen episode.
Yeah, dude, she's awesome.
Yeah. Shout out, Kristen. 53% of users are on Spotify. 45.6% are on Apple Podcasts.
Hey, I'll take it. That's
So,
cool.
93%
I'm one
of
of
our
those
listeners
Apple
are
Podcast users.
I just don't use it.
I subscribe to it. I should just put it on play all the time so we just get more views.
Dang, dude. Like everyone's episode got a nice little bump this week, it looks like. Holy cow.
I haven't even posted anything about Brandon's. His already has more views than the last one we did by ourselves. So apparently the posting all the time to Instagram is doing something.
Well,
I need to post one of those right now.
Ray's is up there. It's getting higher and higher.
Well, yeah, Ray's was a good one.
Ray's a dog. Shout out Ray.
Oh,
we've made 6.
We might get an hour with Swede.
An hour?
Yeah.
You just reply?
Yeah. He's like, what time again? I was like, oh, we're on at the moment.
Whoops.
I mean, I thought I gave him a time. Oh, fuck it.
Your top episode was
12:30 Mountain Time. It's just way back there.
Oh, he's in the mountains too?
No, I just always use Mountain Time because that's my time. So then they have to do the math.
Oh, you messed up. Just do Eastern time. Everyone knows.
I wonder if he'd never got my email because he's like, did you send me a link? I did, but words.
All these Instagram reels. I'm sorry, people. I can't watch them all and reply to them. I'm sorry. I love you guys. Thank you for sending me Instagram reels, but I can't. When 5 people are sending you 30 Instagram reels a day, I get flooded with Instagram reels. I love them. They're hilarious, but I can't reply to all of them. I'm sorry. I love you all. Keep sending them to me. They do make me laugh, but
So then just react to them. You don't have to respond.
I do. That's what I do now. I just react.
So that's enough.
But then when I get flooded with yours too, it's just like my inbox on Instagram is just constantly full.
I wish mine was. I've always got mine knocked down.
You got to make new friends, buddy.
Whatever.
You're going to actually socialize tonight, though. Look out, world. The robot is being turned on.
I've been socializing. Socialize with this person every day. Most of the day. Well, actually, she's pretty good about not answering.
Man, that's the life right there. Not a constant check-in-er.
She has kids to, teach.
Oh, nice. Oh, she's a teacher?
Poor thing.
What grade does she teach?
Sounds miserable. 2nd grade.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that sounds horrible. No.
I mean, the kids seem fine. It's just all the bureaucracy sounds absolutely horrible.
Oh, it's terrible. That's part of why I got out. It's awful.
What the fuck? I'm just going to shoot this guy.
Also, Arlie's been subbing the last 2 days with kindergartners or elementary PE. And he had a kid have a meltdown, start throwing hula hoops at kids and screaming and shouting. Because Arlie said he's like, I told him to cool off or settle down, and he didn't do it. So he got worse. So they had to take him to the safe room. I was like, what the hell, Arlie?
He told some kid to cool off and it didn't get better?
Yeah, he's like, hey, you need to calm down or cool out. And the kid just flipped his shit, I guess. Way to go, Arlie. You're a great teacher. Shout out, Arlie. Are you sure you want to go into the PE world?
I think I know why Swede never got my email. I think I mistyped it.
Oh, my gosh. It's Alex's fault.
It probably is.
He's fired. This podcast is a train wreck. Way to go.
Fuck off, Nathan.
If you were ever wondering if we were competent enough to do this, you just got your answer right there. We're not.
Yeah. This is why I normally copy and paste things. I clearly did not in this particular scenario.
Unbelievable.
Whatever. This will be the best hour of the podcast we've ever had. You better not fucking leave before 3:30 over there.
I won't. I've got an hour left. That's all I've got.
You're in the location, so I don't want any fucking excuses.
Yeah. Well.
And it's not even, I don't ever want to hear, like, I got people coming in because, I did a podcast Saturday at a busy fucking gym, and you know what you couldn't hear? Any of it.
Well,
that was absolutely incredible.
These people are dum-dums. They're high school kids. They just talk incredibly loud.
Should we start this over and have like a 44 and a half?
Heck no. We're rolling.
Can just listen to Swede?
We're just rolling.
Hey, what's up, man? Sorry about my retardedness not being able to fucking type your email address correctly. So, pretty sure I fucked this one up from the very beginning.
Unbelievable. This guy.
There he is. Man of the hour. Look at this guy. He's so dedicated. He's doing it in his car. What's up, man?
What's up, man? Yo, can you hear me?
Sorry, I suck and don't know how to type in your email address.
That's all right, man. Hold on a minute. For some reason, it's coming through my car, and I'm trying to use my pods.
Technology.
Turn this off. How's that? Good?
Sounds good. Yeah, how you been, man?
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
For some reason, no, I see you. Okay, cool. Is this all right, or would you prefer that I?
No, man. Whatever works. We don't care.
Okay.
Well, as you can see,
if I was better at my job
Yeah.
and I confirmed with you yesterday, none of this would be an issue. But I'm fucking retarded sometimes. So
I knew it was today. That's the reason I brought my pods with me. But I thought I would already be out at Starbucks. Luckily, you caught me while I was making a stop. So
cool. How you been,
didn't
buddy?
really make any difference. I'm good. How are you, bro?
Pretty good. I've competed twice since I last saw you, so that's cool. Thanks to you. I don't know if I would have done it without your knowledge, so let's appreciate that.
I saw you did really well at your meet, man. Congratulations on that. That's awesome. I'm trying to get this in a place here where the sun won't look too crazy, but
no, you're good, man. It's just showing off that beard, all that hard work.
Yeah, exactly. It looks
patience and dedication is what that means.
Oh God, I got rid of mine. Screw that.
Official.
Although now I'm really cold. Like I told him, I was like, yeah, the beard's gone, but now I'm just really cold, and I don't know if I like it. I don't really enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm actually gonna put it over here and do like this so I can sit back and relax and talk to you guys.
There you go.
Can you see me all right?
Yep. Yes. Right, perfect. Good. That actually filled up the screen. That's nice.
Yeah. After all that, so it looks like we can actually start talking now.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, man. Do you want to tell people who you are for the, probably 2 people that we have listening that might not know?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people don't know. My name is Swede Burns. I'm a powerlifting coach. Developed a methodology for training and competition in the sport of powerlifting. I work with athletes from various backgrounds. I started as a track coach and started competing in powerlifting in high school. From there, I did bodybuilding for 7 years, competed in bodybuilding, got to top national level in bodybuilding, actually finished 10th place as a super heavyweight in a national level bodybuilding contest for the NPC. Before I finished that was last year. I did bodybuilding was 2004, so it's been a long time. And since then, for about 90% of that time, I returned to powerlifting. And now I'm not really competing anymore in powerlifting, mainly because of limitations in terms of I can't hold the bar on my back to squat because I need a right shoulder replacement. I can actually still press, which is, thank God for that, because I love to press. And I can do everything else I need to do, but it's just getting that arm behind my body on the right side is impossible. So I can't really compete in powerlifting at the moment. I've considered getting a full shoulder replacement, but so that's the long and short of it. There's a lot of other stuff about me, but those are the notable things that are relevant to what we're talking about today.
We just need you to start the 5th set federation where it's box squats with a safety bar, a fucking camber fucking American bar bench, and then, some type of deadlift setup that's a little bit easier.
That would be amazing. I would, like a trap bar deadlift.
Sure, yeah. If I could just get crazy numbers going,
just for old crippled people, just for everybody that can't do it anymore.
Straps for everyone.
There you go. You could call it the OG Powerlifting Federation for all the people that fucking used to do it and still want to.
Like me and Dave Tate could compete in there, and a handful of other guys that are still lifting heavy, but we can't,
Yeah, I did see you doing some box squats not that long ago. How are those feeling? They look good.
Oh, they're fine. Yeah, they're good. They're good. I actually squatted 800 pounds with that safety squat bar over over COVID.
Jesus,
so,
man.
I mean, you can get strong just doing that stuff, that it's it's not the same thing. That doesn't translate into a back squat, but I think it's probably in the neighborhood if you took the time to do what's necessary to translate that for specificity. It's definitely not the way I would tell people to train if they wanted to compete in powerlifting, but for me, it still allows me to do my regular training and stay, real strong and healthy. And that's what's important to me at this stage of the game. You know?
Yeah, you got the whole family thing going on. How's that going?
Oh man, it's a blessing. I couldn't ask for more. I mean, maybe more kids. I would definitely love to have some more kids. We're working on that. But it's wonderful. My daughter's 18 months old. Yeah, wife's best thing that ever happened to me. So
Nice. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Nathan over
thank
here's
you.
got a 6-month-old, I think. Is that
Yeah.
right, Nathan?
Yep. 6-month
Oh,
old. And I know what it feels like to have your woman be the best thing that ever happened to you, because before
God
that,
bless you.
no bueno. No bueno before that.
Yeah, I hear
So
that, man. Yeah,
definitely got
you and
me.
me both.
Yeah. Got me in the right track. That's for sure. Absolutely.
Man, that's great. That's great to hear. You're young too, so if you can get it on track early in the game, you're better off.
Trying to.
Sadly for me,
Yeah. Trying to.
it took until I was about 40 to get my stuff together. So
I can
Well,
but here we
hopefully
are.
get it together by then. I don't know. I got time's a ticking, so
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you, man. It's just the days start coming, they don't stop coming, right? Or whatever that guy said. Sadly, he's dead now, huh?
that's
He's going smash mouth. The years start coming, they don't stop coming.
oh yeah, that
Yeah.
guy. I learned that the other day. A client told me the other day, like, yeah, he passed away, and I'm like, no way. I was like, yeah. They're like, yeah, he's gone. I'm like, wow, okay, R.I.P.
he's no longer an all-star.
Actually, from what I understand, it's a pretty sad story.
Yeah.
I think his kid got cancer
Yeah,
and died at a young age, and as a result, he just became a lunatic alcoholic and drank himself to death.
yeah, that's
Which
what.
sucks. I hate to see that, but I mean, like, for the same token, I mean, I can understand that pain. That's rough. That's something
No
to deal
shit.
with. Yeah.
That would be a terrible way to go, I feel like.
Oh yeah, man. God.
Like
Yeah,
I have a
to
hard
drink.
time gorging myself on food. I couldn't imagine doing it with booze.
Yeah, it just seems like a miserable way to go. I mean, how
Mhm.
many have gone that way though? It's a shame, really. It's terrible, but I don't know. Pray for him. I guess there's
Yeah.
not much you can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
People suffer with addiction, and sometimes it takes them out.
I was gonna kind of,
various forms.
I was gonna kind of
Yeah,
ask you about that, Swede. Like, have you? You said you're. I mean, you're a pretty big Christian now, I think, and I've kind of listened to you on Dave's podcast. And is that something that you kind of found at a later age, or was it kind of your wife that kind of led you to that, or were you a Christian early on in your life and then kind of fell out of favor with that, and then kind of found it later on in life, or how did that come about for yourself?
Man, that's a story in itself. So I'm an Orthodox Christian now at this point. I was raised a Christian. And I wouldn't say like we weren't like regular churchgoers or anything like that, but I mean I definitely believed in God and Christ and professed that at a young age. But I struggled for a long time with what that meant. And I was involved. I had a really rough upbringing. I was involved in crime when I was young, and I went to prison at a fairly young age. I said I stopped competing in bodybuilding in 2004. That's because I was in prison. I was in state prison for a few years, and I started to really lean on my faith in prison. And that's actually where I developed fifth set.
Yeah,
That's where the earliest incarnations of fifth set were developed, and I started to study scripture, and I realized that it was the most profound thing I'd ever read, and I'd read a good amount of things. And no matter how many times I read the scripture, I realized I never really could plumb the depths of the various interpretations. Like there was no limit to the amount of wisdom that could be extracted from anything, from even a single verse.
Right, absolutely.
So while I had like a cursory understanding of faith in God and even Christ, I didn't really understand what it meant until later in life. And I'm still learning what it means, it's the sort of thing that you spend your whole life growing. And you might use the term sanctification as a process, and I think that God did that for me, gradually throughout my life, led me along and was patient. And I am grateful for that, because I know I have not been an easy person to work with. I was very off track when I started, and I'd say I'm a little closer to being on track now, but I still have a ways to go.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, it's been a process along the way. I've been learning. And actually, I was working on a book about a year and a half ago called Acts of Faith, which was going to be my first time throwing my hat into the religious writing ring. And in the process of that, I went through various interpretations of stories within the scripture that were what I considered to be acts of faith. And I started looking at things from, what did various theologians think? What did Calvinists think about this particular story? What did, Catholics think about this particular story? What did various other... And I got to Orthodox Christians. I even looked at like what the Jewish interpretation was of certain stories that were Old Testament stories. And then as I got into Orthodoxy, I started to read some writings from various Orthodox people, and even got into reading some of the church fathers, what we call the Holy Father. And I realized that a lot of it was deep, and it was an entirely different take on what all of Scripture meant, And as I started to come to terms with the fact that it was the oldest take, it was the original take.
Right. Yeah.
That there's an unbroken line of succession from the apostles to the current bishops and patriarchs within the Orthodox Church now. And so I was like, okay, there's something to this. I got to at least see it through. I had the normal American reticence or hesitance because of, there's this sort of like objection to like, is that Catholic, like Roman Catholic? Is that like, so there's this split there, whereas my father is a Roman Catholic. And so I was very careful, very leery, like, I don't know, I don't want to be, and as I realized that it was similar in many ways, but also altogether different. And so I started looking around, who could I actually have discussions with about this? Because it's one thing to read a book, and then it's something else to have a conversation and be able to ask questions and change,
Sure.
and push back on certain statements and so forth. And so I met a guy in my area who's in Western PA, who is actually an Orthodox priest. His name is Father Justin. And I asked him, would he be willing to talk to me? Because I asked a bunch of other people. I asked a rabbi if he would talk to me, and he said no. He said he wasn't willing to talk to me. I was like, okay. So
moving on.
No, fair enough.
Wow.
And so I was like, are you willing to talk to me? I understand you're busy. And he was like, oh, absolutely. And so like, it was like, sure, come talk to me. I'll open the church up in the middle of the week, whatever day you want. So I was like, yeah, how about like Tuesday, 2:00, And I went, and he opened the church up, and we sat in there and talked. I was going to talk to him I had a list of things I wanted to go over with him for the book. It was like maybe 10 questions. But I was trying to get a legitimate Orthodox perspective and trying to like hammer down exactly what it was, because Orthodox, unlike most other denominations or sects, they don't have a written confession. They don't have like this is exactly what we believe.
Right.
So there's not like a rigid statement of faith.
Sure.
Something like for example, Reformed Christians hold to like the Westminster or something like that, or various confessions. So there was nothing like that. I'm like, well, what do you believe? And we believe the Nicene Creed. And I'm like, okay, but that's just in my head. I'm thinking the Nicene Creed is it's like a few lines, and it's basically about the Trinity.
Yeah.
And then I started to realize, and I've come to realize in the subsequent year and a half, that it's everything. It is the whole statement of faith. It's just a matter of understanding what each line means. Like that's all you need.
That's
to
old,
understand exactly
right.
what the positioning is. Yeah, I mean, and it's the first real.
That's old school. That's old school.
From the first council. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, so
yeah.
It's like you talk about like what books are in the Bible. Like this is when we decided that.
Yeah. Yep.
So he met with me, and I ended up talking to him the first time for like 3-4 hours, and then we developed a friendship. We started like hanging out, meeting up for coffee, and I started eventually. I realized I was like, okay, this is the way. So I started to attend that church and did the catechumenate stuff, and became a catechumene with my wife and my daughter, and that was how we found our way to Orthodoxy. So yeah, so it's been a long journey and many stops along the way, but I'm happy to say that I think we're where God wants us to be at this
That's
point.
cool. That's cool. I love.
Man.
I like that. I like hearing that. Do you ever get the unconventional, like Christian weird American looks? Like if you ever walk into a place, you kind of get the looks and like who's this guy? What is this guy? Like you get the whole Americanized version of Christianity and whatnot.
Oh, it's different. Yeah, it's different. It's different. Yeah, like my wife wears like hair covering in church. And, like that's the people. Yeah, it's kind of like that's what it says to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, it's like we believe in the same Bible, right? Like, yeah, so it is different. Yeah, there's definitely some cultural differences.
Absolutely.
It's more of like what you might refer to as like a Middle Eastern Christianity or Greek Christianity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is, that's where it came from.
That's cool.
And so yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an expert on that, but it's definitely something that it caused me to put the writing of that book on hold and hit the pause on that.
Great.
I was like, wait a minute. I have a feeling that what I write, I might want to revise.
Well, now that you've said it, I'm going to be anxious about it now. I'm excited. Are you going to finish that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I fully intend to finish it. In fact, I would like to attend seminary and become an Orthodox priest. That's the direction that I'm hoping to head from here.
Heck yeah. So, that's sweet, dude.
Talk about a difference in the direction of my life. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. God willing, we'll see what happens with that. But that's what I want to do.
That's cool, man.
Still some hurdles for me to leap in order to make that happen. But that would be the ideal, according to me. That would be the ideal course of events. But we'll see what God has to say about it.
That'll be.
Does that mean we're gonna have a keyhole church somewhere? Is that what's happening here?
I mean, I actually live in a church. I don't know if you know that, but Keyhole Barbell is in a giant church.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. I did not know that.
It's pretty cool. That's the reason I live where I live now. I'm from Philadelphia originally, and I was looking for. I had like a construction company at the time, and I was looking for a way to. I was working with football players and. Still doing the same thing, but I had, a lot of irons in the fire just to make ends meet. It was very expensive to live where I lived in Philadelphia. And I was like, man, I just want to sell all this and get a house someplace in the middle of nowhere. So around 2010, I started looking at places and I wanted a lot of square footage, So I looked at the stuff that had the biggest square footage. At that time, a lot of churches were on sale. Like they were up for sale because people started to attend in their homes and church attendance sort of shrank right around that time. And so I looked at a bunch of churches and looked at one in Unity Township out here, a Methodist church. And I was like, okay, I'll buy that for my house. And then I thought I could have like a gym in there also, because it was big. And the realtor, after I looked at that one, I was going to make an offer on it. And the realtor's like, wait, there's just one more I want to show you. She's like, just look at it. I'm like, I looked at the listing. It looks like crap. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not even really interested. She's like, just look at it. I'm like, okay. So I look at it. We get there. And as soon as I got out, I was like, gee, it was like a city block, the building. It was enormous. I'm like, this is a giant building. I'm like, it didn't really look very nice outside. It definitely needed paint, like it was just old. And, kind of find out it was like, it's over 9,000 square feet. So, I mean, it's a monster building. And as soon as I walked in the front, it's like, what was the fellowship hall? And I was like, this is it. So that's Keyhole Barbell now.
Wow.
And so there's about 3,000 square feet that are in the front. That's Keyhole Barbell. And then we live in the back of the building around the side. There's, there's like probably 3,500 in the back and then another 3,000 upstairs. So it's a big place. It's definitely a crazy place to heat in the winter. But
oh yeah,
overall, I just need that. I need space. Maybe that's because of being in prison or who knows. But I'm somebody who, like, to me, like the most valuable thing is having enough private space. So if it was land, that'd be great. But I look at this, it's like an indoor neighborhood, So
yeah,
it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of work, dude. I've been working on it for, I guess, 13 years now or something like that, And I literally just finished getting the kitchen completely renovated which is like a 600 square foot kitchen. So like that's like some people's apartments. You know? Like, it's huge.
Yeah.
So it's like giant, you know. So that was a lot, and then it's big ceilings too. So I have like basically on a ladder, and luckily, you know, thank God, I'm inclined to do the construction type work. I was a union iron worker, and I did all that stuff before moving out here. So I have some experience in the trades, and I know how to use tools and everything. So I've done all the renovations myself, and I mean, there's still plenty to do, but we're like creeping on 15 years into it. So I made some progress. But yeah, the whole story of Keyhole Barbell is because of that, and like the team and everything else, the subsequent success of the team, and which is what led to the interest in the book and so forth. And then all the clients I've been able to work with, all that stuff was that was the springboard for it, was me buying that church. So yeah, so now it's not a church, but it's still set up as a church upstairs. So I still have like pews and so forth up there, and
that's cool.
It's like there's a stage. There's actually a giant pipe organ that was donated by Andrew Carnegie. Yeah, so
I'm gonna start looking for a church now, because that sounds fucking awesome for a gym. Not gonna lie,
dude. It's the Church of Iron. I mean, it's like, come on.
Iron Temple here. That's fucking great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Were you still planning on doing some of your seminars there and stuff?
Oh, I do CERT courses sometimes, and I have a CERT course scheduled for February. I'm not sure what day in February, but it's in Louisiana at a place called Warlord Barbell. So that's gonna be the next CERT course. But I've done a number of them now. I did one actually at Elite at PS. We did that was the first CERT course, and we've done a few more since then. Got another one coming up soon there, and I'll probably do more out of Keyhole. Plus, I always keep the option open on my website on fistset.black. There's like, you can go in and book a private CERT course where I will certify people at Keyhole, where I have all the stuff there too. There's like a little classroom in the gym, and so I'll do all the lectures and presentations and so forth, and PowerPoint, and then there's the next day there's testing. And so it's a multiple day thing, so you have to come out and stay in the area. But yeah, I do run them out, and I've done two of those where they were just one-on-one with people coming like one at a time to do the seminars. And
Nathan, when do you want to go to Western Pennsylvania?
Let's go. I'm in.
Dude, say when, guys. I'd love to have you. And I have a running rule that if I'm running a CERT course, anybody that's already certified is allowed to attend for free.
Oh,
so
that's sweet.
So I've had people that have come to multiple CERT courses just to get follow up, and I consider, like, when someone's certified using my method, like, I don't take that lightly. I consider that to be like a lifetime mentorship.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I have people that I still talk to every day that were at the first CERT, that are always asking me follow up questions and so forth, and and I do also sell, one of the other services I offer is canned programming to coaches, where for example, I have a macro cycle called the Silverback macro, which is more of like a power building approach. So it's slightly less volume, and it's very hypertrophy centric. So it's that's a pretty good deal too. So that's like, that'll be three mesocycles of programming. So that's like 6 months of programming for the way we run things, because they're typically 2-month mesocycles. We do 9-day microcycles, and it's 6 of them per meso, and usually always the 6th is a deload unless you're moving into a peaking cycle. So yeah, there's a whole explanation for all that. I'd have to
get the book. Get the book.
Yeah,
people.
You got the book.
Get the book.
The book was blurred out.
I'm gonna plug. Yeah, I'm gonna plug your book for you, because I've got it. I was.
Take the blur off the damn camera.
I'm trying so hard. There we go.
There it is. You got a minute of it.
Kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
Fitset. Go check it out. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out, go check it out.
So if you have that book, then you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
With you'll see the fatigue chart and stuff. That's the reasoning behind it. And that's also, coincidentally, that is the book for the CERT course. So that is we use that as a textbook.
Yeah.
So you get tested on a lot of stuff directly right out of that book. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll be I'll be frank, that's really all you need to know to be a coach is in that book, like to get started anyway, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
from that, I mean, assuming you have like some modicum of intellect, you can extract what's important from that. Why do we do this? Like you understand why. There's enough explanation of the hows and whys that you should be able to, go on and write your own programming, even outside of the method, if you're certified in the method.
That's what it's
So,
very applicable for all ages, and you kind of talk about that in the book. How like you want to be able to use this as a way to help people gain strength at whatever age they're at, and there's so many different protocols that you can pull from in that book to set up your own programming. And I've kind of used it with my older clients. I've used it with younger clients. I mean, everyone in between. So it's definitely set up in a way that anybody can use it. That's for sure.
Something interesting to kind of riff on what you're just talking about there. Ellen Stein, I'm sure you've heard of Ellen Stein, one of my longtime clients.
Yeah.
She's 70 years old and still totals, near 1,100 pounds raw at 132 pounds body weight. So she is, by any definition, elite. She wins best lifter, not like for her weight class, for the whole meet at nearly every meet you do.
Absolutely.
She won the women's pro-am. She's won like the Arnold multiple times, won the Arnold, like won the whole thing. It's and she's competing against women that are literally less than half her age that are pros that have endorsement contracts and so forth. So I mean, and she's trashing them. So regarding her, she's been running the method now for over a decade. We got her DEXA scan back. I think it was yesterday, and I'm looking it over. I'm reading it, and she actually at 70 years old increased her bone mineral density.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's mind-boggling.
Lifting keeps you young.
Yeah. So the way they do it is they have like a T and a Z, right? And like the T is average, like so that's the average of all people, young people. What the score is, and then they have like the Z, which is for your age group, right? So she is actually a half a standard deviation above what's average for normal young people in terms of her bone mineral density. And she was like 2.5 times above what it was for her age group.
Oh my God.
Damn.
So anybody that tries to tell you that like old people shouldn't lift heavy,
oh no,
just walk away from that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
As long as you can still do it, you should still do it. You know what I mean? That's kind of people go like, oh, well, ask me what my rule of thumb is for like when someone should stop lifting heavy. I say, are they able to lift heavy? Because if they're able, then they should, and like, oh, well, how much should you reduce it? How much can they do? You know what I mean? How much can you recover from? As long as you're still recovering. I mean,
that's
God willing,
right
making
there.
progress. Like somebody like her, she's still making progress. It's mind-boggling.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's crazy. It is great to see it. But I mean, it is. She's one in a million. You know what I'm saying?
It's incredible.
I'm not saying that's because of fifth set. That's because of an inconceivable level of genetics.
I'll say it's because of fifth set. I've used it. You understand the recovery protocol of it, so it works really well. Like
that's
built into it.
It's definitely, it's a big part of it, no doubt about it. Like, I mean, if you're training like a lunatic, you're not going to get very far. If you drive it like you stole it, you won't get very far. You know what I mean? That's like with anything in life, right? Like a car, like how many miles are you going to get out of it? It's like, well, it depends. How are you going to drive it? Number one. And then like, are you going to do oil changes and all the other stuff? And that's like deloads and the routine service, the stuff you need. That's very important. But yeah, I mean, I do think, fifth set's a useful tool, and I'm grateful that I was able to get that together, before I was done, essentially. So not saying I'm done now, but I mean, I'm glad that I'm grateful that I was able to get that out there to a diverse group of people while I was, while it would still be, I could reach masses with it, while I still had some popularity and I was young enough to get it out there. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that know what they're doing that are good that you'll just never hear from. Because they're local coaches, and you know what I mean? Yeah. They understand about recovery and limited recoverability, adaptability, things like the same stuff that I'm always harping on and preaching about. I'm not the only one that understands that, but I'd like to think that it was valuable that I was able to systemize it in the way that I did with this. You know what I mean? That it's helpful in that way. It gives you some good guardrails so that you don't ruin yourself. You know,
Yeah, it's very
that's my thinking.
It's very fail safe for sure. Like if you just use your brain a little bit and follow the protocols and adapt them to the populations you have, like it's very very safe proof and fail proof. Like I mean, if you've got kids that need a lot of different things, if you've got older clients that need this or that, and maybe it's very easy to plug and play and adapt it to who you have for sure.
That's the thing. It's easily adaptable. Like, sheesh. Like there are so many cert courses and things like that out there. Like even NSCA stuff. Like not to knock it, it's great, but it's very it's very difficult to go from just that to working with clients and understanding what they need. You know what I mean? Like there's I feel like there's a valley between those two things. Any normal certification. So, but whereas if you learn to work with a specific methodology, that's my thinking, is like the whole imitation thing in the beginning of the book when you talk about, imitation is that's an important part of it. Find something that works, right? That works, imitate it, use it with a ton of people. You start to see that's how you learn, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're just like, oh, here are some principles about training, here's some. That's not. I mean, it's very hard to extrapolate from that what you need to know to work with a diverse group, a diverse clientele. It's tough. The translation is tough.
The coaching element. You just take the coaching element out of it almost. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is if you have a system, right? Like this sets a system, right? You can run it the way it's written, and you'll do good. That's 90%, right? And then you'll learn to fine tune, right? And then over time, with repetition, you start to recognize what it is about that makes it really good. Like what it is that what am I when I adjust or what have you, or when why do we have these deloads regularly? And then you start to realize none of these people are getting injured, like you're able to continually load volume, right? Training volume load. You're able to continually increase that throughout the course of a training year, in a way that you might not be able to do otherwise. To be honest, I'm not I don't see. Well, there are some horror stories out there. I don't want to say anything bad about anybody else, but I know of other people that there are people that come to me and they tell me about what they've been through. So I know there's people out there that are taking people's money, and they don't really have any general understanding or experience. You know what I mean? Geez, God, look at powerlifting as a great example, specifically the sport of powerlifting. You go to a powerlifting meet. Like a friend of mine who is a fifth set lifter, a long-time fifth set lifter, who's a very well-known guy. He says he's at this meet, and you can always tell when someone's their first time coaching at a meet, And there's a girl, and she goes and she takes her first attempt, and then he's got her running back to the warm-up room after each attempt and doing some squats. And so he's like, "Why are you doing that?" To the guy, he's an older guy. He's like 60 or something. He's like, "Oh, I like to keep her warm." And he's got a clipboard, and there's so much of that, sadly, because it's not a sport like wrestling. You know what I mean? It's so there's a lot of people that get involved in it that just generally, to put it bluntly, they have no idea what they're doing. You see guys staring at the flight list, and it says coach on the back of their t-shirt, and he's just staring at it like it's cuneiform. You know what I mean? Like it's a Rubik. What is it? I mean, you shouldn't be coaching somebody if you've never done a powerlifting. That
there you
should go without saying, right?
Absolutely.
I would say if you haven't done a number of powerlifting meets, you probably shouldn't be coaching somebody. At least in power, I'm not saying you shouldn't be a coach, but I mean, if you're going to compete, if you're going to coach people that are competing in powerlifting, you should compete. You should have done it. You don't got to do great, but you have to know what you're doing.
Get on the platform.
Know what's next.
Yeah.
No, it's not a good idea to take somebody in the back and have them warm up, stay warm between attempts. It's the opposite of what you should do, right? I mean, it's Yeah, and sadly, there is no school for that. There is no school for powerlifting coaching. So that was the thinking with the CERT courses that I had, and also I had a lot of people. The reason I did the CERT course, the reason I came out with this third book, the one that you held up, the coaching manual, is that there were people that were running. They were saying they were running fist set. I'm like, that's not fist. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was kind of
The second coming of the West Side method.
Exactly. It was polluting the brand. It was like, dude, like that's not, you can't say just because you have people doing AMRAP. I mean, there's lots of methods.
There's a lot of AMRAPs out there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not fist set, man. Like that's, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's, I'll end the rant there as far as that goes. But yeah, there's definitely, yeah, I'd like to think that it's a positive thing that someday when I'm gone, I can leave behind, and hopefully it continues to help people.
It's helped me, helped my athletes.
I'm never going to stop using it. So I don't use it to a T like the manual tells us, but I've definitely picked and chosen what I liked about it, and definitely still use those things.
Well, thank God for that. And that's the thing. Like, you don't have to run it. You don't have to run the sequence system. That's one thing you can do. But if you understand the principles and the protocols and how they work together, you understand why the guidelines are what they are. It's externally valid to everything in training. You know what I mean? Like, these are just training basics, and it's sort of a Mr. Miyagi way of teaching you that, sort of a roundabout way of doing it, like paint the fence,
Mm-hmm.
Saw Karate Kid.
Well, and like I like that you use Vershansky as like one of your major people that you pull from, right? Like you're talking about the delayed training effect and different things like that. Yeah. And it's like those are really important things that I don't think people really understand, especially when it comes to peaking, right? Like you can have an adaptation that you elicit today and it doesn't show up for 3 weeks, and people don't really grasp that whole concept. Whereas like your peaking block exactly shows that you do your last max effort, and a couple of weeks later you're on the platform because you've allowed your body to adapt and recover from it.
Yeah, Vershansky is he's definitely, if I had a single person that I could say that I from a professional standpoint look up to, it was definitely him. I learned the most from him. And I used to interact on his forum back in the day on his website, and had some correspondence with his daughter, who's also a really good sports scientist in her own right. Very minor, just stuff like, oh, can I use this in the book and things like that, and but yeah, I think that the long-term delayed training effect is one of the most misunderstood things in sports science. And in fact, if you talk to a lot of people today, especially people that are interested in like more just hypertrophy and so forth, they don't understand it because they've never seen it. You know what I mean? So like you talk to someone who has never had experience where you actually do, they think of things like fatigue as a short-term thing, central fatigue, and even sports scientists, even like people that names that you would know that I've had conversations with them, and they talk about, well, central fatigue doesn't last more than a week. Like, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe they get 30% stronger in a week then. I don't know. Like, it's maybe training becomes much more effective towards the end. But that like expressible strength is absolutely inhibited. Expressible markers for fitness in any characteristic of fitness, be it speed, strength, what have you, are all suppressed by fatigue, and that is a long-term effect. That can be, if the fatigue is loaded for long enough, or sufficiently enough, it can be something that lasts a number of weeks. So to think that it only lasts a week is silly. I found that, over years and years of experimenting with this, decades at this point, that the longer you can draw out that loading, that period of loading, which is the reason that we rather than just do one really hard mesocycle and peak, we do a series of subsequent mesocycles where the fatigue is gradually accumulated. The longer you can accumulate that fatigue and carry it, the more of a slingshot you get. So whereas Vershansky found with his early experiments that if he did it really hard, the further he pushed them, the more of a rebound they got, right? Once they were able to express their level of fitness, right? So, but the problem is that Vershansky had a ton of injuries. and he reports that in his own stuff, is that people were getting wrecked, and so this was my thinking, first to make it more specific to powerlifting, but then also to reduce the likelihood of injury, because it's not really acceptable to have 40% of your people get injured in power. As a coach, you're going to lose your clients if 40% of them are injured, and I don't think it's necessary. So it turns out it's not necessary, and we can go as long as between 6 and 8 months of carrying that fatigue to some degree or other. Obviously, there has to be those deloads, and the deloads, basically the main benefit of the deloads is that they help with there's disparity in recovery between like connective tissue and muscle tissue. Okay. Whereas muscle tissue recovers very quickly week to week, and adapts very quickly. Connective tissue does not. So tendons take a lot longer. And the reason we think for that is blood flow. There's less blood flow to tendons. But we don't know that for sure, of course. So we could, in 10 years, we might find out that it's something totally different that causes that. But that's the standing theory, and that's the one that I tend to ascribe to. But the deloads allow that the tendons to catch up, so that you don't end up with connective tissue injuries. They reduce fatigue slightly. As you can see on those charts, those are theoretical charts, the stuff in the book. But that's the idea, is that they are reducing it a little bit. We know they're not reducing it all the way. Otherwise, you could just you'd be able to express your level of fitness at any point just by doing a deload, right? But you can't. It takes a full taper from a peak. It takes that reducing the amount of work that you're doing dramatically for an extended period of time. And then also doing enough specific work to preserve the adaptations that you worked for all that time too. So yeah, I'm always very open to new things and new explanations for things, but what I'm not open to is pretending that the things that I've witnessed myself and recorded myself didn't actually happen or don't exist. And there's a lot of people out there that will offer things to the contrary, and I'm like, well, I mean, I know this works. You can say what you want, but you can't say it doesn't work. It certainly works,
But it's only anecdotal evidence, man. What are you talking about?
Well, it's not. That's the
I
thing.
know. That's the always thing you hear, right?
I've got better controls than most labs.
Right.
You know what I mean? And 100 times the data.
Right.
So it's not, there aren't just anecdotes, but science is essentially, the scientific method is just constantly attempting to falsify hypotheses, right? So I'm open to that, to those attempts, but you have to actually falsify it. You can't falsify something that's very well proven,
Right.
So whether or not it works is not up for debate. We can talk all day about how it works, and I'm open to those conversations. But when people pretend like, oh no, it's not the way to train, I'm like, okay, well, you lost me, because unless you got something better that you can support with data, because it's not likely.
Yeah, those peaking cycles, man. That first one I did at the competition, I was fucking dumbfounded. I was crushing weights I'd never even touched before, and I'm like, how the fuck did this happen? And then the
attempt selection protocol is a big part of that too. So not doing over 7% jumps. We found early on that doing larger jumps than 7% is just a no-go, and I was like, man, we're missing attempts. We're talking 12 or so years, or maybe more than that, even years ago. And so I did a multi-regression equation where we looked at when people started to fail. And we were able to determine that anything over 8% was like almost definitely a failure, even with lifts that they had previously hit, like recently, like in the last 30 days. So stuff they hit in the peaking cycle, people were missing it if they made 8% or more jumps. So I'm like, well, let's try with the sevens. We did the sevens, and the 90, 97, 104 was like, whew, immediately I was hitting like 85% plus of people were successfully getting all three. There was a deviation on bench, but we were able to correct that, subsequently. I think it took 3 years. After the first book came out, it took 2 years more. And I was like, we tried up to 103, and then I found out that 102.5 for the third attempt on bench press was probably the upper limit. And so, like, that's not to say that no one could ever, under any circumstances, do more. Of course they can, and people did 104 for years. But I find that that corrected that deviation so that it brought it up to match the success rate of the deadlift and the squats. So yeah, if you're using that peak and cycle correctly, and you're using that attempt selection protocol correctly based on the data from the peaking cycle, that's another thing, is that people base their attempts and meets on like their hopes and dreams rather than, or like, wow, like on a perfect day, you know, like God could crack the sky open and reach down and maybe I get this. That's not the way to plan for a competition. It's not the way to successfully execute a competition. So having that relevant data, having that recent peaking cycle data is crucial. And yeah, being able to draw from that and using the formula, the coefficient formula, the multiplication that we have to set your attempts up is just invaluable. Now, I think attempts 1 and 2 should at least 90% of the time go according to plan. And then you should be able to draw your third attempt. I give like clients that I'm not going to be at a meet with them, I give them a range for the third. And I say, hey, you know, let's shoot for, you know, we'll say depending on bar speed of the second, it'll be between this and this, you know, probably between 102 and 104.
That's the same thing I did. I'll give them a range on the last one. I'll be like, you're going to do this one, and then it's up to this on the third one, depending on how you feel.
That's the way to do it. That's definitely the way, in my opinion, that's the way to do it. You know, and that's the sort of thing you got to kind of working with clients. Everyone's going to develop their own preferences, and we tend to stick with the things that have worked. So that's why I'm always like, just try this, because I know that if people try it and it works, they're going to stick with it.
Yeah, like, man, that peaking cycle works so good. It worked for my rugby player to where he got named the starter of the team and then the captain of the year and most improved player of the year, because we just went through like one of the mesocycles and a peaking cycle in his off season. And then I just did very minimal in season to help him keep his strength. And I had him test again after the season. The motherfucker got stronger.
Yeah. Like, you won't lose. You can do very little volume and not lose. And in fact, I covered some of that in the book where I talk about the different age ranges and studies that were done on reducing the volume, where they had one of them where they reduced the volume by 70% and they didn't get any weaker. And some of them got stronger. Like, so what does that tell you? That means the in-season players can still lift as long as it's much less than what they do in the off season, you know?
Yep.
I've had first team All-American, National Collegiate Player of the Year. I had everything you can imagine in terms of athletes running a fifth set, you know, and performing phenomenally in their given sport. You know, it's not just powerlifting. It's not just for powerlifting. And at one point I had this like harebrained idea I was going to do like fifth set for football and for different sports. And so fifth set for track, you know, fifth set for jumpers. And I realized it's not necessary. It would just be, it's not necessary.
Right.
Run the fifth set.
Right.
That's what it is.
Wait, basically, you mean it doesn't have to be sport specific?
I could sell that book and then I could just say like, well, have them do sports specific work also.
There you go. Yep.
It's a page, you know.
That's
Depp
kind of falls into that category. He's like, I'm just going to do West Side, make them strong and make it know I know it works, and then their skill works over here, and they can do that. And
yeah.
It's crazy how that works.
Yeah, if you know how to, dude, West Side can be very valuable if you know how to modulate recovery.
Yep.
And that's the big if. Like, I'm not saying that like it's no big deal. I don't want to just make it seem like I'm saying, oh, you have to be able to modulate that recovery, because it's very easy to overdo it with the 90+% training and you know, going heavy singles and so forth all the time. So now if you're using like a repetition effort method, like actually someone who has actually, you know, worked with Louis or read the book or something, that's a different story. Like where you understand there's more to it than just doing 2 singles over 90 and calling it a day. So if someone that knows how to run it correctly, yeah, man, you can do really good with it. I've seen great success with that. So.
That's what I think is nice about your coaching, man. You know, it's like bowling with bumpers. Like, you have to be fucking retarded and throw the ball in the other lane for it to not work.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're better off going with something where you have a little bit of safety. You have some guardrails.
Yeah, you need those right and left boundaries. Otherwise, you have no idea. And like yours works so good is like, it's literally, people want to make sport training into something special. And it's like, no, you got to get strong first. And then you can maybe worry about some other stuff, but you got to get strong.
By far the most important thing is being strong, I think, in any sport. Right. And so I looked at, there was a number of studies regarding aging where they looked at like, various parameters to see what would help people in terms of health span and lifespan, right? And what it turned out was that it wasn't just having muscle. Having muscle was important, but strength actually had the biggest impact on health span and lifespan. So, and there's weird metrics for strength that they're looking at, like grip strength and so forth.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna
I
say
think
that grip strength study was a big one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, exactly. So like I think grip is a
Huge.
good generalized strength. It's a good way to generalize someone's strength.
It tells you
Unless
so much
they're
about the
doing
nervous system too.
Exactly. Unless they're doing, it's a good way to measure fatigue. So it's unless they're doing some kind of freak grip training where some, there are some guys out there that could do stuff that just blow your mind with grip and they're not that strong everywhere else. Yeah, I mean, I think that grip is a good marker. So it's a good way to generalize for strength. So people that have really strong grip generally are really strong people, And like you said, there's a nervous system aspect to it. Like, so it's not just building up the muscles in your hand. It's a neuromuscular component, neurological component.
That's a biomarker I use for my throwers. Like if they want to come in and like a pitcher, they want to pitch like if we want them to throw them a certain intensity that day, like, hey, you're throwing all out today, but I want you to go do your grip strength test before you do it. Because if they're not at a state of readiness to go throw all out, then we don't need to throw all out because it's going to lead to bad things down the road. So yeah, I use that. I use the grip strength one a lot, actually, in a lot of things.
I think it's useful. I think also it can be overused too. And there's also one of the things that's dangerous about it is you can still be carrying a ton of central fatigue and still perform well in grip. So it's not like a real test. It's not like there's no blood test to say how much central fatigue, how much is your, how much are you inhibited at this point, right? There's no real way to test it other than to test it, right? And we don't want to test it because that's going to cause more fatigue.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So it's better to work with some sort of model, like a good model that generalizes and works with averages and so forth. And if you're working with a certain population that has higher recoverability, adaptability. So, for example, D1 athletes, generally speaking, are going to have higher recoverability, adaptability. Then you can adjust up or down, depending where you're at and what that population is that you're working with.
Well, I like the 9-day microcycle for kids too, being high school kids, because I have a lot of high school kids that they don't eat well, they don't sleep well, they're stressed out all the time about school, and it's like, okay, well, now let's look at this from a 9-day perspective then, so we can manage your fatigue and help you recover a little bit better. And that's one of the biggest things I took away from that is the 9-day instead of the 7-day microcycle, and kind of extending it out just a little bit.
Kids are amazing in the way that they can recover without like sleeping or eating or doing
psychos sometimes. Yeah.
Right. It just becomes so important later in life. But when you're young, it's like you can get away with it. And but yeah, you do got to make up for it. And I think that a 9-day microcycle is a good rule of thumb, honestly, for everybody. There's people that have higher and lower recoverability thresholds that I've worked with, throughout the years. And I'll start by saying that anyone who's at a top level, right, is going to have a longer recovery time period. They just have to. Yeah. I mean, like when I'll give you an example, like someone like Amit Sapir. I worked with him. We were like at one point we were trying to get this. I think it was his 5th squat world record, but it was to hold 4 at one time in different weight classes. And fatigue became so bad. He was so inhibited. Like he was inhibited for like weeks and weeks on end, like where he would just shake when he get under the bar. It was just too much. He had pushed too far for too long. And we got him to where he was doing 10 days between each squat. And then he was able to successfully, like we ran a full macro cycle of that and peaked. And then he was able to successfully get that last record that he needed to hang everything up. But it was a matter of and I know a number of people. I know Eddie Hall, same thing, 10 days between those deadlifts. So people, I think but now that's not to say that like, if you're a beginner or that if you're someone with high recoverability and that you should only train every 5 days or 6 days or something like that. I'm not saying don't train.
Right.
I'm saying that you need for a microcycle needs to be longer before you. In other words, what that means is that same session within this this plan, before you hit that session again, you should not only be recovered but adapted.
Exactly.
If you're not, if you don't have that adaptation, if you're still recovering, when you go to hit that again, there's no chance that you're going to have that adaptation. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and that's not even accounting for essential fatigue, which will be accumulated. That's definitely going to happen. So, you know, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to the more you can simplify these aspects, the things I'm talking about, these considerations, the more you're going to be able to actually coach. You know what I mean? The more you're going to actually be able to do your job as a coach. So, like programming is not coaching. Like we're talking about a methodology that's mostly programming. The coaching is being able to have the wherewithal, make that decision to say, yeah, okay, this is when it's time to pull back on this, or it's time to man, you got to just grind through that, you know, or technique and knowing how to correct technique and so forth. That's all these things are invaluable
from day to day too. It's like you can write a program down, but if it needs to be adapted within even the day to day realm, that's such a huge thing to be able to do. It's like, I wrote this out for however many days, 4 microcycles or whatever, but we're at our second microcycle and they're just dog tired or something's not working. That's got to be able to make it changes on the fly from day to day too.
That's a lesson for you too, the coach too, because if you get 2 micros into something and you're not getting the results you wanted, or things are going off the rails wildly, that's quickly.
Yeah.
So that means there's something wrong with the way you set that up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like ideally, the fifth set stuff, if you're setting it up correctly, we really should never have to worry about that within the confines of at least one mesocycle, assuming that the training matches are set correctly and so forth. You can focus on things like tech correction. You can focus on things like, coaching, motivation, things like whatever it is, whatever the role of that coach of a coach is.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's funny, but I have a nice number of coaches out there, like, throughout the United States that are using the method. So they're all doing very similar programming, right? And you think, like, well, when the client gets the programming, then, like, they're going to run away or something, like they're going to split with it. That seems to be like, with coaches that I talk to from a business standpoint, they're like, well, I like to titrate the programming. Like, they only give them a little bit at a time. And the thinking is that they're going to, like, take the program and run and leave with it. But it's like, that's not your value. That's a book.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your value is teaching them how to run it, teaching them what to do, teach them the adjustments to make, teaching them how to make tech corrections, how to implement, whatever, various things like the queuing system and so forth like that. That's really the role of a coach, not just programming. Programming is part of it, but it's not all of it,
Yep. Larger role, bigger picture for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. There's many facets to this coaching thing.
So how did how did you start thinking about the fifth set principles? Like, I know you hadn't put it in a book, obviously, but you said you started thinking about it very early on. And then, like, you just have a lot of time how did that come about? Or, like, were you thinking about your previous training and how you could make it better and adapt it and mold it to something else? Or how did fifth set come about? And, like, what did you start really fine tuning it to the level?
I was in prison. Hold on a minute here. I'm gonna have to adjust this because now I got
sun's getting you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to get me. I don't know. Find a way to get away from it here. Oh, that's so annoying. It's what it is. It's like my mirror, the side mirror is hold on a minute. There's a way I can do this. Hold up. There is. So there we go.
Just take it away. Yeah.
Yeah, I just turned it in. You know what I mean? Turn the mirror. It was literally like the sun was shining right on my side view mirror into my eyeball. So the way things started with this set, simply enough, I was in prison, and it was out of necessity.
Right.
So we had. I knew all about, like, obviously I had already read about Verkhoshansky and various other Russian sports scientists, and I knew about Prilepin and so forth. And I knew that there was a way that you could effectively train with less weight than what your max was, for strength. I knew that I could basically set up what was our goal of what did we have to hit, how many reps did we have to hit with a certain percentage, you know what I mean, in order to make progress. I knew about ProEpin, and I built it around ProEpin. I thought that it would keep going like that forever. I thought like, hey, maybe I just could do one mesocycle at first and it would just keep working. Now we're going way back now. We're going like 20 years ago.
Sure.
So the idea was we'd do 4 sets. Pretty much everything was doubles at that point. So it was like 4 sets of doubles. And then the 5th one, we'd just do as many as you could get. And we would keep doing that. We would repeat that. And I realized after a certain point, because the reason was there wasn't enough weight in the yard. You could only go up to like, say, 600 pounds or something like that. So it wasn't enough.
Only. He says only, Alex. Only.
A lot of, dude, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised in a state prison. There's some strong dudes.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So like, these are like, you got to keep in mind, these are like young men that are like in their early 20s, and people that are, violent criminals tend to be full of testosterone.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
sure. Yeah.
So it was like the ultimate, sample to test this out. So at the time, I was like 300 pounds and in shape, you know what I mean? I was like giant. And so people looked to me and I had answers, so I was able to easily lead a training group, because anybody that's confident and has answers, people will tend to listen. So I did. I had a group of a good number of guys. Different times it might have been 10 guys or whatever, but some of them weren't always diehard. And there's one guy, Jaime, he was super strong. I still remember him making so much progress, like to the point where towards the end, like he looked like a bodybuilder, he looked like a pro bodybuilder. This is in jail, so like nobody's on steroids. There's nothing. You're living on dog food, So it was just genetics and training. And so we tried it out like that. We did it for an extended period of time. You could do more weight than that, but you had to put in a slip, and you would go to like, there was like I think it was called the ISB, like the inmate service building, and it was an inside gym in there where you could do like, there was like a real gym, you know what I mean? There was like real benches, real squat racks, real plates, like an actual gym, like enough of them. It wasn't like stuff that was like trash that was welded back together and stuff like we were training with most of the time. So the idea was we'd do it for long enough, and then we would do a deload and then just try to do like maxes and see who could do more. So the first bunch of times we did this, a few months at a time, everybody made progress. Everybody was stronger, and then there reached a point where people were starting to be able to do less. And that was when we developed. And from there, it was off to the races from there. I started reading more, studying more, and that's where the long-term delayed training effect came into it. The macrocycle model that we use now, which involves a series of successive mesocycles surmounted by a peaking cycle, that all came from Verkhoshansky. Not that he was doing anything like that or programming for powerlifting, but that all came from what his work was as I understood it. So like basically the way that I understood it and the way I was able to translate it into powerlifting, that is my answer to Verkhoshansky. He's gone now, but that's what that 5th set macrocycle is. The way that we load and peak, that came directly from him. But it was a series of successive trial and error attempts, just with perfecting what was working, what wasn't working. I wanted to systemize it. I've always had like a relationship with mathematics, and I love the idea of if this, then this, if this, then this, if this, then this, if this, then this. And you'll notice if you're someone who's using the method, all those questions are answered. It's like, if this, then this, if this, then this, if this happens, do this, So, I mean, there's never a point where you're like lost. You may be you may have to make some fine tuning decisions, but you're never completely off course.
No. Yep.
And so that was my goal. And I'm happy with the way it turned out.
I'd say so. I'm happy with the way it turned out. So
Man, I'm really glad to hear that you guys love it. You know, and you're doing so good with it. That makes me happy.
yeah,
You know?
it's
And,
if you're a coach out there and you don't have this book and you're looking to help people and actually help people make progress, this should be one of the first ones you go after. I feel like it's definitely.
Man, I'd love to have you guys out some weekend whenever you can swing it. You know,
Alex,
come out and
fly to Missouri.
come out
We'll
and
drive
do-
to Pennsylvania. Fly to Missouri.
Oh yeah, I forget you don't fly. So
Well, I don't
fly,
love.
you
I
want
don't
me,
love
you want me
flying,
to fly to
but-
Springfield and then we're gonna road trip it to Western PA.
Yeah, it's-
only if you're willing to drive the birds too, so we can knock
Yeah,
out two
absolutely.
birds with one stone. No pun intended there.
Yeah,
But
where is Bird?
Allentown.
He's in PA. Is he really?
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Yeah, Allentown's not that far.
Sounds like a
mean,
great
well,
sure trip.
And
I
then
mean,
we
it's-
could even
it's-
go visit Depp if we wanted to.
It's a few hours from me, honestly, but I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I
Worth
know
it.
Allentown well. You know, I'm from Philly, so it's like an hour from Philly, if that.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I would say that book was as influential on coaching for me as anything else I've read. Because like I still go back and
Oh,
still
man.
use a lot of the same shit, whether it's the MSMs or like I don't necessarily use the fifth set protocol, but I stole that Prilipin idea and used the submaximal weight and those weight ranges and figured out ways to make it to where like I'm big on minimum effective dose. So whenever I
Me
enlisted
too,
people
yeah.
to do AMRAPs, they fucking hurt themselves usually. So I just went, all right, well, I'm going to take the AMRAP out and give you guys the
Yeah.
minimum amount that I was able to get effectiveness out of and just kind of give them that.
Yeah, you can honestly cap AMRAPs at 5 no matter what, and
Yeah.
it still works great. That's what I
Yeah.
do for anyone that has limited recoverability, or if someone's in a calorie deficit, like or have someone dieting or change weight classes, what have you. We always cap those AMRAPs because that's where things can go haywire, especially when you're working with people that are lower in training age. They don't have a lot of experience. They don't know what they're when they start to fail, they fail wildly and quickly. You know what I mean?
Quickly
Well,
for
when I
sure.
got jujitsu athletes I use it with, and they're fucking crazy, right? They just want to go ham
what I
because that's
mean.
all they know how to
Yeah.
do is go ham. And they're like, "Yeah, I got to rep 17," and I'm like, "Jesus Christ, you probably could have stopped at 10."
Yeah, I want to see a video of that because the last 5 were like garbage. You know what I mean? That's why you have to communicate to these people, especially people like that, especially people that are hard asses. AMGRAP.
Yeah.
As many good
I
reps
love
as
that.
possible.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
good.
that explanation of it.
As soon as something deviates, as soon as bar path deviates, as soon as you lose a shoulders in a squat, as soon as you start to lose a shoulder in bench and you have to reset, cut it. It's done. That's it. That's enough because you trained it to technique
Technical failure. Yep.
right? Technical failure. That's what we look for. Not absolute failure. Like this isn't, we're not Dorian Yates. You don't
Not
have
the
to have
Bulgarians.
somebody like, yeah, exactly. You don't have to have somebody like forcing you through to finish the rep. Like, no, man, if you can't complete the rep correctly, that's it. It's done. You're done. Rack it. And that's good. If it's less than you could do more, good. Do more next time. You'll be able to
Yeah.
PR.
There you
You know
go.
what I mean? No big deal.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing too, right? If you could do more, that means there'll be more there when you're peaked too. So we'll just go ahead and leave it for then.
Yes, that's what I always say. Yeah,
Well,
I'd always rather leave something in the tank.
The adaptation part you're talking about too. Like if in 9 days, there hasn't been an adaptation, what's always funny is like you'll see someone do a bench AMRAP and they'll get like, 5 with whatever weight, and then you add the 5 pounds to it, and they usually end up doing probably a more like 1 to 2 more reps usually actually within that bench set that they do on the AMRAP. So it's like, oh well, so you did have it, you just needed, it's just a skill set for you at this point. Anyway, so yeah, it's kind of cool to see. Uh-oh. Did you lose him?
Like, hold on, let me plug in my computer before you lose me.
Oh no. We're losing everyone. Is he back?
Hey guys, I don't know what happened here.
Uh-oh. Well, I see a lovely.
There we go.
There he is. Okay, good.
Technology is
Yeah.
great until it's not.
Yeah, no, that's right. I don't know what happened there, guys. You know what happened?
No
I
worries.
think somebody tried to call and I didn't have it on.
Oopsies.
I didn't have it on Do Not Disturb, so that's my bad. Sorry
No
about
worries,
that.
man. You're good.
Yeah. Where were we? I don't even remember.
Just talking about the training effects and how effective the AMRAPs can be when you understand that technique failure is the failure you're looking for, not absolute failure.
Yes, and as far as the adaptations that you're looking for, like you were saying, what's the minimum that you can do? Like you don't even really need to do the AMRAP. That's the
Right.
truth.
Yeah.
Is that
Agreed.
you'll meet prolepin before you get into that range. It's beyond the prescribed reps in most cases. Now there is one aspect of it that's hugely beneficial to the AMRAP, and that is the hypertrophic adaptations. So like hypertrophy, it seems like, right, it looks like now what's bearing out in the literature is that the most important thing, the most important consideration is proximity to failure.
Yeah.
Right. And that could be like, so to get that hypertrophic adaptation, you could be anywhere from like 6 reps to 30 reps, right? As long as you're within a couple reps of failure.
Right.
Right. So regardless, so that's like a sliding scale, and obviously it would be more specific to strength, right? Which would be that myofibrillar hypertrophy, the stuff we really want, as strength coaches, right? If you're closer to the 6 side than the 30. So bottom line, if they're anywhere near failing at 6 reps, cut it there, 5, 6, something like that.
Yep. That's usually where it hits. Yep.
Yeah, that's usually if your percentages are set up correctly. Like, there's not many people that are going to be smoking way beyond 6 reps of 80% after doing all that work. Right. So
yeah, you watch someone hit a 15, and you're like, okay, I think we need to take a look at what your actual top set is here, my guy.
Yeah, especially depending on the protocol, but especially with that 80% protocol, if you got people getting 10 plus,
like,
it might be time to reassess the training max.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, the minimum effective dose approach is something a lot of people should probably learn to adopt, because everyone always thinks more is better, and I'm like, no, better is better, not more.
Minimum effective dose with everything, not just in training.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is the minimum effect? Honestly, like, my training's a little different nowadays. Like, I do, I still squat heavy, I still press heavy, but like I also do hypertrophy work separately. I do 2 sessions that are really just hypertrophy, and they're sets to failure, and I don't go like beyond failure, but it's just very intense. And really, I'm at like where I do like 1 set for a few different exercises for like 2 different types of rowing, where I'll do like 1 set to failure, which, I mean, heavy, heavy, like I'm like around 5 plates on hammer strength machines and stuff for that, and also like pull-ups. I'll do pull-ups to failure.
It's kind of like a Dorian approach, right? You're just getting all that density in 1 set.
Yeah, I just don't go beyond where he was going, like beyond failure and having like forced reps and so forth. But I'd rather, that's the idea. It's like, well, could I do another set to failure? Yeah, of course. And would it give me more adaptation? I think it would. But it's like you got to weigh that out. Like, what is it? Is it worth it for what that's going to interfere with my ability to recover from squatting, which I love to do?
Right.
You know what I mean? Is that going to interfere with my ability to recover from these other things? I'm getting older too. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to live my life and not be constantly crippled and crawling around. You know what I mean? It's not like when I was in my 20s or even in my 30s. You know what I mean? I like being able to be strong, but like, what do I got to do to be strong? What do I got to do to be jacked? Like, I wanted that minimum effective dose, because I got to save the rest for, like, I have a daughter, I got a wife, I have a life to live.
Longevity is kind of important now, right?
Yeah, it's important. It's important,
yep.
To be able to function and live life, and have that be not a miserable experience.
Trying to make you more resilient and live longer. That's what I tell people.
Man, that is one thing I see in the powerlifting culture that drives me absolutely nuts, is that they think they have to be hurt and that it has to be painful and all these things. And I'm like, I'm at the meet and people are like, oh, this hurts and this, and I'm like, guys, we're supposed to feel fucking good today. Like, it's supposed to be fun. We're supposed to be performing well. Like, maybe a little sore the next day, but like at the meet, you should be in tip-top shape.
Yeah, that's the best you're gonna feel.
Yeah, ideally.
You know what I mean?
It should be. Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, you shouldn't be banged up at the meet. If you banged up going into the meet, you messed up, man. I always say that. I've said that for years, and people will actually argue with me about it. Like, oh, it's okay, it's normal, like a week out to be beat up. Like, no, that's not good. That's not good. Like, we do 6 days out, we do the speed session. It should be flying. You should be like chomping at the bit at that point, ready to go in. Now the microcycle prior to that, the 80%, you're doing like 3 lifts at 80%, and you probably feel like you're gonna die the whole time, because that's that transmutation. That's the end of that transmutation where it's actually becoming like you're like, oh, you know, especially if for people that run the sequence system with the bands, the way that goes with the MSM with the bands, oh, that is just, I mean, it's just it's brutality. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But when you get done it, you feel so much like you feel like a new person by that by the end of that last 6 days. Me going into the meet, I'm like, you know, you should feel like a young lion at that point.
Oh,
Like there's no
dude, I get so fucking antsy because like I've stretched the my
yeah,
microcycles into 12 days. So I'll take 2 days in
yeah,
between every lift. And
yeah,
dude, by the time that I get there, holy fucking shit. People are like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I'm so fucking ready to pick up something heavy right now. Like
yeah.
it drives me fucking up a wall.
Man, that's great to hear. I love that's why I do this, dude. I'd love to hear about people being able to go and give a good performance and like be happy with the work they put into it and have it see it come together. Because there's nothing worse than investing in something in a sport like powerlifting where you train for 6 months and you get literally 2 minutes on the platform total. That's the whole meet added up. It's about 2 minutes, assuming you're not messing around when you get on the platform. You know, like there's no other sport like that. There's nothing else that like maybe Olympic weightlifting. But there's nothing else really aside from those two things that you're going to train that long. How many hours? You know what I mean? It's insane. Think about how many hours, right? Over the course of 6 months, how much effort you're putting into it. And it's all for that 2 minute stretch, 3 minute stretch of being on the platform. And if you blow it, it's just devastating. You know what I mean? But if you can actually put it together and make it, you know, you're like, and have a good performance. Oh, I went 9 for 9. Like I love hearing that. That's what I want to hear. I went 9 for 9.
I
You
still
know,
haven't done that yet, but it's on the to-do
I don't
list.
even, I don't even care what the total is. Still, 8 for 9, 9 for 9, stuff like it depends on how aggressive you're being with the attempts. But 9 for 9 should be doable if you're doing the protocol. And for me, I'm like, you know, it might not be all PRs or what have you, but as you learn to get closer and closer to that 9 for 9, that's the best total you could get that day because that means you didn't miss anything. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
I was about 2.5 kilos over on all my thirds this last round. So like I
It
went
happens.
YOLO and I would get stuck in the middle grinding out each set and every one. Like I was grinding out the bench so long, I literally had to shake my head and tell him to take it. I'm like, yeah, it's not going anywhere. Like I'm just
You
stuck.
won't see. You won't do that again, too.
No.
That's the thing with personal experience. You get to know yourself. You're like, you know what? Next time you know, next
Well, and
time you're
this
gonna
time I
take
did
that
it with a cut,
five
which
pounds
also
less.
fucked me, I think, a little bit, and I didn't
Yeah,
realize. So
yeah.
I'm managing those
That's another
waters.
variable. That's another variable, man. You really got to stay high. It's hard because you can make weight and then afterwards get back up to the weight you were before you did the cut. But then that next day, if you aren't always feeding, always snacking, always sipping, that's what I always say. Like if you're not doing that the whole day of the meet, you can't make your electrolyte balance is messed up from doing the cut. So you can't maintain the weight. You end up being a little off, and
Well, yeah, my
not to
recovery that
mention,
morning was only 80%. So like when I was cutting, I
yeah,
fucking had to take carbs out and I went down from like 90% recovery to 60 from just sleeping. I was like, man, my body is so
yeah,
pissed at me right now. And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
but I still PR'd everything. So
I can imagine. Well, that's good, right? You still PR'd everything. Plus, you're saying you're missing third. So imagine if
yeah,
you had been slightly more conservative on the thirds, you would have PR'd even more. You know what I
yeah.
mean? That's the way. That's what I want to see is people that are like, okay, it's not what it could be, but it's the best that it can be.
Yeah.
It's not,
Mhm.
it's not what it might be, but it's the best that it can be right now. You know, so like that's the thing. If you're missing a third, I mean, assuming it's not 5 pounds above the second, which it shouldn't be, you know what I mean? You lost some pounds off the total. So from a strategic standpoint, getting the largest total is about getting going 9 for 9. You know, that's that's me looking at it as a game day coach. But
Right.
obviously, if you have each individual person, there's no wrong reason to compete, and there's no wrong goal for a meet. So if the
No,
idea is you
I'm
want to
just that
really,
idiot that like I don't want to know what if I didn't like what if I get it. I'm like, well, what could I have done? At least I know like when I go out on my shield, I'm like, well, I couldn't have done that. So
yeah, believe me, and you do carry those with you. You know what I mean? You do carry those with you. The things that what if I didn't? What could I have gotten? I mean, I never got 550 in a meet, which is despicable for me for a raw bench. That I never got that because I got it in training before, and but like there's been, it wasn't the right call at that point. Like I got 530, and I'm like, okay, I gotta try and And I actually dropped 550 on myself one time in a meet too. So that was
Is that when you had the injury? Was that what happened? Was it in the meet or was
that
that
was
in
a
training?
that was separate. When I broke my spine, that was another. So twice in my career, I've dropped over 500 pounds on myself
Oh,
benching. Once was 550, and it was just, it was, if honestly, if it was 560, I probably wouldn't have dropped it. It was just so much easier than I expected it to be. I couldn't believe it. And like, it was like, it flew off and my elbows like got out from under the bar and it dumped at lockout. The other one was I had like 103 fever and I don't know what I was thinking doing the meet. I should never have done it. And that's when I dumped it on myself right as I was getting ready to put it into the rack with 525, and that literally bounced on me and broke my spine in a couple places. So yeah, that was no good either. But I did come back and bench more than that afterwards. So and I've obviously recovered my spine and everything completely. But yeah, there are those numbers that you never do them, and it's like it does haunt you to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at this point, it's like, it makes me feel better about myself when I see that 80 videos on Instagram about people telling you that if you can bench 300 pounds, you're in like the fucking top 2.0000007% in the world. And I'm like, for real? Like, I must have seen like 20,000 people bench 300 pounds. Like, doesn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
And if you bench over 500 pounds, there's only like 800 people in history. And I'm like, I don't think that's true. I'm like, I know that's not true. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it feels good, but it's not true. But anyway, that's something Greg and I have been going back and forth about. We send each other those videos every time one comes up. The one where it says like, how special you are with each range of bench presses. I'm like, here you go, dude.
That's hey, you know what? They make me feel good, okay? Because I'm not there
exactly.
yet.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Leave me in that percentage. I want to be there.
That's what I think. I think that's what they're aimed at, people that are still coming up and trying to get a good bench. And you're like, oh, I'm actually doing pretty good. And like, far be it from me to piss on someone else's success. I want people to do good and be happy.
No, I think you can do it. You've earned the right. I think it's cool.
It's definitely weird to me to see people going like trying to pretend that like less than 1% of people can bench 225, and I'm like, are we like including 90-year-old like people and like all the people on the planet, or people that do powerlifting? Because like people that do powerlifting, there's way more that have done than 800 pounds that have done that 800 people have done 500 pounds.
Right.
I mean, I can't even imagine how many there are. It's a lot. I mean, I could tell you, I think there was at one point there was like 500 people that did 600 pounds, I think. So yeah, I mean, it's not, we have people doing over 700 pounds raw, multiple, you know what I mean? Creeping on 800 pounds. So like, I'm just saying in reality, like, yeah, I've benched in the mid fives, but that's not even, as far as I'm concerned, that's not like a crazy number. That's not like, I mean, if you're comparing, I guess you have to, we're talking about elite powerlifters here, So if you're talking about, again, if we're including everyone in the world, like my grandma is included in the total, then yeah, percentage wise, everybody in the gym is kicking butt. But yeah, those things are funny to me. I don't know. It's like a running, and I've seen like at least 6 of the same video where they'll have some guy and he's like pointing.
He just points at it. Yeah. Yep.
He's like, yeah, I saw one. I'm not even kidding you at all. There's a dude, and you know how they have those microphones, like the square box ones, and people hold them and talk into them. This dude had it on the end of a spatula, and he's like talking into it on the end of it. I'm like, is that a spatula? What is happening?
Social media is a weird space.
It's weird. It's getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah, it is.
What are you gonna do?
Nothing.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna
Just make fun of it, hopefully.
Hide in my gym and keep lifting weights. That's what I'm gonna keep doing.
I use it less and less, dude. I'm like obligated to go on social media now. It's not like before. I used to be on constantly. I'm like, it's like poison,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's no joke. It's definitely well, it's an echo chamber, and hopefully you pick the good things to echo from. But most people don't because they get sucked into the negativity.
They do. You're right. Well, I mean, that's what upregulate. That's what the algorithm does. It pulls you into negative disputes, things that are
Pointless.
contentious, things that are going to cause conflict and interaction,
Yep.
Yeah.
Alex, do you have anything else you'd like to ask our wonderful guest?
I don't. That was awesome. I appreciate you coming on, man, and making time for us. It was great.
Man, yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't more prepared, but yeah, it was great to talk to you.
That's
So,
that. I'll take the blame on that one. I
just blame
fucked up
Alex.
and could have definitely given you a better heads up. So
Yep, it's all him.
That's all
I
good,
will.
man.
I will
Thanks,
take the
guys.
fall on that one. We'll have you back again for sure. Hopefully, you'll have another
Anybody-
kid, or maybe we'll have done the cert by then.
Yeah.
I'm working on another kid, so got one, and we'll have another one by then. But anybody that's listening, be sure to swing by Fist.Black and check out. We have a number of programming products, and like I said, the cert course and so forth. And we also sell supplements now. So we have NMN, and we
Yeah, those
actually
look
have
legit.
we have the most potent CBD product on the market per milligram. So the per milliliter. So the most milligrams per milliliter. It's a CBD isolate. We have all third-party testing with like QR codes on the bottom, so you can check out what each batch came back as in terms of the numbers. But it's also somewhere around 25% of the price of the closest comparable product per milligram.
There you go.
Damn.
We're talking by far the cheapest and the strongest. So
Swedes out here
It's a
making it
tool.
easy to get healthy. Everyone go buy the Fifth
I'm
Set
trying.
Coaching Manual. And if you're smart like me, you'll buy the hardback edition so that it'll fucking last forever, not the paperback like Nathan did.
Well, it was
I
just,
still have the first.
it was a gift.
I have my first copy. I still have my first copy of the hardback, and it's
That's
still in
awesome.
great shape. So
That's
I
awesome.
remember you asked me that last year. You want the paperback or the hard copy? I'm like, dude, I want the hard copy. I love when I have nice books like that.
Yeah.
It looks way better in the fucking library.
Oh yeah, I remember. I gave it to you right out of the car. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, from the man himself.
Cool.
That shit was dope.
That's
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you,
was good,
Swede.
man.
We
That was good.
we appreciate your time, man. We really do.
you got it, brother. I'm happy to help, man. It was nice talking with you guys.
Absolutely.
Yes,
You guys
thank you.
go check his stuff out.
God bless you both, man, and have a good day.
See you, man.
Thanks, man. You too.
Take care.